on the program today. Big show today. Well, we'll be on the air in seconds, so I will share what I'm going to do when we get on the air. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. You'll love this channel, I promise you. If you're not new and you're already subbed, please like the video. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. All right, here we go.
Is on the southeast corner.
Here we go. Stand by.
Bramblewood by the Coral Square Mall. Call any lab test now of Boca at 561-237-5009. Any lab test now of Coral Springs number is 954-906-5983. And don't forget to mention that you heard about them on the radio.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show. Brian?
All right, welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 47 years on the radio. We have a lot to cover today. I got a lot of stories I'm going to get to, and it's Friday, which means, of course, Fridays, that's open phones on the program. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. Any and everything that you have on your mind is fair game on Friday's show. You are not limited to talk about the topics that I bring up on Friday's show, all right? Although, I do have some things I want to talk about, and hopefully you'll find them interesting enough, but if you don't, no big deal. You can call in about anything you want. On Friday's show only, the other days, we try to, it's like herding cats sometimes, but the other 4 days of the week, we ask you to comment on what we bring up. But on Friday's show, we turn it over to you. As Rush Limbaugh said, rank amateurs. And you decide on Open MAGA Mike Friday. The number toll free, 1-888-465-2631. All right. I had no intention of talking about OJ today. I did not. I wasn't going to. I did do my podcast last night. I did talk about OJ. And I watched the coverage early this morning and was reading stories about it, and I was just so fuming, pissed off that I got to talk about it. Okay? And I do hope that you all want to talk about OJ a little bit too here, at least in the beginning. You know, I can't believe it's been 30 years, and I have said for the longest time that the O.J. Simpson murder trial was the golden age of radio. I've heard Jay Leno say it was the golden age of comedy, but it was the golden age of radio. It was the most controversial and interesting time ever in media in this country. Radio and television. The internet was there, but no one used it yet. They didn't even call it the internet. Do you remember what they called the internet back then? Do you guys remember what was the internet called? Does anyone know what was the internet called? No one called it the internet. It was called something else back then. I'll tell you in a minute if no one gets it. But the reason I'm so compelled to talk about OJ today is because I'm listening to all the commentators, everyone talking about it, and no one's saying the reality. OJ Simpson killed Ron and Nicole, and he was acquitted not because if it doesn't fit you must acquit or Furman said the N-word. He was acquitted because racist blacks on the jury wanted him to get away with murder. In fact, I've got one clip I'll play of one of the jurors saying just that. Now, there were a couple white people on the jury that got bullied into it. But when the not guilty verdict was read, one of the black men on the jury, when he left the jury box, looked at OJ and gave him the black power fist from the 60s. Okay? You know, you had Rodney King in the LA riots, and a couple years later, this. Not only was there zero reasonable doubt, it was 100% proved positive that OJ committed those murders. just a couple of things from it. Ron Goldman's blood was inside O.J.'s Bronco, which was not the Bronco from the chase. That was Al Cowling's Bronco. They both had white Broncos, white Ford Broncos. Okay? Ron Goldman's blood was found inside of O.J.'s Bronco. O.J.'s shoe prints were in the pools of blood in front of Nicole's house. And he had, remember the shoes? O.J. Simpson had Bruno Maglia's shoes. I can't believe I remember this stuff. I haven't talked about this since like 95. You weren't even born yet, were you, Mike? No, Mike wasn't even born yet. I remember this like it was yesterday. O.J. had shoes that were custom shoes, Bruno Maglia shoes. There were only like 20 pairs in his size ever made of these shoes or something. Maybe 75, I don't know. I know the shoes I wear, every time I walk somewhere, I see someone wearing these shoes, these Vans. I got into an elevator once in Miami not too long ago. And there was this woman in the elevator. She was wearing the exact same shoes I was wearing. And she made a comment about it. She says, "Oh, we got the same shoes on." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Am I wearing women's shoes? What is going on here?" She didn't laugh. She didn't think it was funny, but you know how they are these days. No humor. But his shoe print was in the pool of blood that are like the rarest shoes you could ever have. There's a lot of other evidence too. So don't let anyone tell you about the great dream team with Johnny Cockroach and Flea Bailey. We had all these names for them. The guy was guilty, and I looked for something this morning that if someone can find this, send it to me, because it has been disappeared from the historical records of the internet. Okay? When the verdict was read, I watched every second of that trial from beginning to end. Okay? When the verdict was read, and this is what I couldn't find. And I searched for this for like 30 minutes this morning online, and 30 minutes of research on the internet. I had to come to get in the car and get here. 30 minutes of searching on the internet is an eternity. It's an eternity, right? And I couldn't find this. When the verdict was read live on CNN, because I was watching it. By the way, which is more prominent in your memory? Where you were during the verdict or where you were during the Bronco chase? I remember where I was at both, but mostly the Bronco chase. But, what I couldn't find online this morning was the verdict being read live on CNN that they covered. They had a split screen. One side was the courtroom. The other side were students at Howard University, law students at Howard University, the black, racially segregated university, which is where Letitia James went, coincidentally. And when the not guilty verdict came in of a man who was more guilty in the evidence than any murder trial you've ever seen, those black law students got up and jumped for joy. They were celebrating, and everybody knew he did it. And I was looking for that because I wanted to share it with you. I couldn't find it. So if anyone comes across that one in particular, not the Oprah one and all these other ones that are easy to find. Oprah had an audience of black and white people, and the blacks celebrated and were cheering like they won the Super Bowl when the not guilty verdict came in. And so far as the show, it was... I was on the air before. I got in trouble for saying something on the air. Well, I didn't say anything on the air that really got me in trouble. Joyce Kaufman, okay, you've heard me often say Joyce Kaufman got me in trouble at a radio station. So I wasn't on the air like when the murder happened because of this crap that Kaufman pulled, But I got back on the air like in no time for the chase and everything. But there were a few phases of the OJ thing, right? We had the murders, and then we had the chase. Then there was a pre-trial hearing, which laid out a lot of the evidence in the courtroom live, and then there was the actual trial, the 9-month trial. And I don't think people realize how famous and liked OJ was. There will never be a celebrity trial like OJ. And I know people are saying, well, Alec Baldwin. Half or maybe 3/4 of the country have hated Alec Baldwin for 30 years, okay? OJ was loved by everyone. And I remember when the first Naked Gun movie came out with Leslie Nielsen, who, by the way, Leslie Nielsen is buried at a cemetery in Fort Lauderdale. A lot of people don't know that. He died in Fort Lauderdale. He lived in Fort Lauderdale, Leslie Nielsen. And I saw the Naked Gun the first night it opened in the movie theater, at the Movies at Plantation, in Plantation. And when OJ came out, the theater went nuts. Everybody loved OJ. People don't realize how loved OJ was. All this crap that came up during the trial, we found out what a pig he was. I mean, I couldn't believe beating his wife. I didn't know about that until the trial came up. But there will never again be a trial of that level. I mean, people don't understand. And the calls on the radio were insane, okay? The calls began, and it started with the murder, the chase, the pretrial, and then when the trial started, black callers would call in and say, OJ didn't do it, there's no way he did it. And this went on for weeks and months through this event, or however long. OJ didn't do it, don't squeeze the juice, remember all that stuff? And then when the evidence started coming out, like his shoe print, when he was like, just a handful of these shoes ever made, and his size, and Goldman's blood, and the Bronx, all this stuff came out. The calls on a dime came in the next day. The black callers who were saying, he didn't do it, OJ didn't do it, started saying, yes, OJ did it, but white people have been getting away with killing black people for 400 years, so this is too for us. It was like that every day. It was nuts, okay? But all this stuff, they don't even want to call him a murderer. OJ did it. Everyone knew he did it. The jury knew he did it, but they didn't care because they are racist. A racist jury. And that O.J. Simpson verdict was a big wake-up call for me. I didn't realize black people hated white people so much until that jury verdict came out. And I think it was a big wake-up call for a lot of people. I had no idea. So it is open phones today, but I do want to hear your thoughts on the O.J. period. What do you remember more? Where you were during the Bronco chase or where you were during the verdict? I remember where I was for both of them. During the chase, I was at a bar called Spats at the Galleria Mall down by Fort Lauderdale Beach watching the chase in a bar. And, but anyway, I know where I was for the verdict too, but which do you remember? Because when I was a kid, or younger, I remember when I was, during this OJ time on the radio, because I was young. I mean, I was like 8, not during the OJ trial, but I've been on the radio since I was like 18, 19. And all these guys who I thought were ancient, who were probably younger at the time than I am now, they would always do this thing that, where were you when Kennedy was shot? Everyone knows where they were when they learned Kennedy got shot. Even Biden remembers that. And the OJ Bronco chase is one of those moments. You know where you were on 9/11. You know where you were during the Bronco chase. But I heard some people say yesterday they remember where they were when the verdict was read. I remember both, but I think the chase was a bigger thing. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll be back.
Don't sit on this.
Oh, yeah. What year were you born? 96. I'm sick of listening to these people on TV acting like, well, just say what it was. It's disgusting. Welcome, everyone. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. You were in an LA skyscraper when the verdict was read. Wow. Yeah, the media everyone was expecting a guilty verdict, even his own freaking lawyers. This up.
They are courteous, intelligent, honest, and quite a joy to work with. We have completed thousands of projects for the listeners.
No, I didn't want to talk about the OJ thing today, but I'm watching this disgusting coverage.
With great success, and every one of those customers are like family. We have installed all kinds of roofs from asphalt shingles, clay.
We'll be back in 22 seconds.
Standing metal seams, slate tile, and flat roof systems. So come on and let our family take care of your family. Call me on my cell at 954-604-4602 or find us on the web at LaportaContracting.com. The number again is.
It was next to the Broward Mall. I'm sure it's still there. Alrighty, we're back. Callers on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. Okay, so the OJ, I'm just tired of listening to these people just dance around it. OJ Simpson, we called him the Butcher of Brentwood. There was, and I'm telling you, the verdict was a racist verdict. The jury knew he did it. This is an interview with one of the black jurors. Listen.
Do you think that there are members of the jury that voted to acquit OJ because of Rodney King?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
How many of you think felt that way?
Oh, probably 90% of them.
Yeah, so they knew. And, so far as Rodney King, the thing about Rodney King is that guy, I don't remember the name of the guy that made the video. That guy has caused more trouble in this country. That was so long ago. Rodney King was at 90, was Rodney King, was it 90 or 91? And were the riots at 92 or 91? It's been so long, But the guy that filmed it on a VHS camera, which must have been like massively huge, like anything else, an incident starts being filmed after an action. And Rodney King had who was high on crack, led police on an over 80-mile-an-hour chase through the streets of L.A., and he was flashing himself and doing all kinds of stuff to the lady cops. Remember all that? Resisting arrest. I'm not saying that they did not get out of hand, the cops in Rodney King, but a lot happened. And by the way, the Rodney King cops were acquitted. That's what caused the riots. And then Bush 41, W's dad, brought up federal charges and went after the cops, and that's where they got convictions on, which I don't understand. I don't like that. You know, it's not double jeopardy because they went after him on federal charges, but it's still, that's pretty crooked. But hey, the Bush family, they're war criminals. But you know, the Rodney King verdict is what led to that. There's a very good miniseries with Cuba Gooding Jr. It came out a few years ago where Cuba Gooding Jr. plays O.J. The People versus O.J. Simpson. It's an FX TV movie. And it was like maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago it came out. My wife and I watched it. It's a miniseries. John Travolta plays Robert Kardashian. Or not Robert Kardashian, excuse me. Robert Shapiro, his other lawyer. And it's very good. I almost didn't watch it because I watched every second of the trial. And I'm like, I know all this. And it's compelling. And it was so big. I remember his lawyer, Robert Kardashian. I keep saying Robert Kardashian. Robert Shapiro. Robert Shapiro, who was Johnny Carson's DUI attorney, was his first lawyer who put together the Dream Team. Robert Shapiro, O.J.'s lawyer, had a book out after the trial, and he did a book signing at Meisner Park in Boca. They used to have a bookstore there. And I went there because I wanted to meet Robert Shapiro. I bought the book and got it, and he asked me how he wanted to make it out. And I asked Robert Shapiro, I said, you know, this is before we had, you know, all this fancy stuff. There was no social media or anything. So, you know, unfortunately, since there was no social media or YouTube or any of that, none of this is documented. But I was on the radio through all this. I talked about it on the shows. There's got to be people that remember all this stuff. So I went to the bookstore at Meisner Park, and I get up to Robert Shapiro, and he asked how he wanted me to how I wanted him to sign the book, and I said, "Can you sign it, Brian? If it doesn't fit, you must acquit." And he said, no. He says, I never liked that phrase, he told me, Robert Shapiro. I never liked that phrase. I still have that book in a box somewhere. It's probably worth 10 cents. But it was a big deal at the time. And I remember when my wife and I went to L.A., and not long after the trial, O.J. still lived in the house. And we went on a personal O.J. Simpson murder tour. We had a rental car. It was my wife, me, and my mother-in-law. And it was so long ago, we actually had a paper map. Didn't have all these iMaps and stuff. And we went to Brentwood, and I knew all the addresses by heart because I'd watched the TV. So we just found the houses. So we went to the murders. First, we went to it in order. We went to the restaurant. Anyone remember the name of the restaurant? The restaurant that Ron Goldman worked at. Mezzaluna. I can't believe I remember this stuff. Maybe I'm getting Alzheimer's like Biden because I can remember all this stuff from the past. So we started at Mezzaluna, and I don't remember the address of Nicole's house now, but I did then. And I went to, was it Rockingham or was O.J.'s house in Rockingham? I can't remember. But I knew the number and the street of everything. So we went to Nicole's, which was right down the street. And on the street that Nicole lived on, where O.J. killed them, all the house numbers were taken off of every house on both sides of the street. Every one. But, you know, I grew up before we had all this navigation app stuff. So I'm the last generation that knows how to read addresses. So I went a block away, and then I just went down and down and down until I found it. They took the numbers off of every house on both sides of Nicole Street. They're probably back up there now. And then we went to O.J.'s house, and my wife and I and my mother-in-law were sitting out in front of O.J.'s house, and the gate opened up, and O.J. came out. I couldn't believe it. O.J. himself, he came out, he had his bodyguard, and his bodyguard was on television. He had this massive bodyguard, and his daughter, Sydney, who was his daughter with his wife that he killed, came out. And I wanted to go talk to him, but my wife was like afraid. She's like, no, he's a killer. You know, he killed 2 people. But, you know, so I went through that whole thing and a bunch of other stuff with OJ. But, you know, I just want to tell you that and we'll go to the phones because I know you guys are on hold. The O.J. Simpson trial was huge. And what's happened, one of the reasons it was so huge is all of this media, that we have so much media now, that we don't have a unified fan base in American popular culture anymore. OJ, I never watched OJ play football. I never was into football. But he was always in TV shows and movies. And remember he used to do the Hertz rental car commercials where he was flying through the airport, and you know, and my one movie of OJ's that I still watch every year or two is Capricorn 1. It's O.J. Simpson, Elliot Gould, and who's the guy that's married to James Brolin? And Elliot Gould and James Brolin both been married to Barbara Streisand. And O.J., it's when they fake a landing on Mars. And O.J.'s great in that. And of course he was the sports commentator on NBC News. But now, when it comes to pop culture, because you've got all these streaming apps and the internet and all these things, the country is divided. The lowest rated television shows that would get canceled for low ratings back in that time, back in the 80s and 90s, had more viewers than the highest rated shows of today, right? Because the audience is so split. So everyone not just knew who OJ was, most everyone was a fan of his. Till we found out what a pig he was. And I'll tell you, again, a lot of this had to do with my youth. When the murders first happened, I couldn't believe OJ did it. I didn't believe he did it. I'm like, there's no way. Even the night of the Bronco chase, I'm like, there's just no way O.J. Simpson did this. And then when the trial started, I was like, oh my goodness. But don't let these people on TV tell you anything different, okay? Racist blacks that hate white people acquitted him because he killed 2 white people. And don't let them use Rodney King as an excuse. Rodney King is an excuse to justify them allowing a double murderer to go free. And I'll tell you one quick thing. Just to tell you how closely I followed this trial, Ron Goldman did not go over there to bring her glasses back. He went over there to have sex with Nicole. Nicole's bathtub, bubble bath, was set up with candles around the tub at the time. And Ron Goldman came upon the scene either as OJ was stabbing the life out of his wife or right after. And they fought. You know, Ron had defensive wounds on him. They fought and he lost and he got killed. And I remember they'd never shown this pilot, which I'm surprised. At the time of the murders, OJ had just filmed a TV pilot where he was going to play a Navy SEAL. And they would show clips from the pilot, and it was him cutting people's throats with a knife. And he learned how to, he got into knifing in this. Now, OJ, in later years when he confessed, said she had a knife. They never found the knife. And I believe, as many others, that Kim Kardashian's scumbag dad, Robert Kardashian, hid the knife for OJ. A lot of people believe that, and I do too. Because remember, he met him at the airport remember OJ flew to Chicago after he killed him and came back the next day, and Robert Kardashian picked him up at the airport, and OJ had his golf clubs, and it's believed that he used the golf clubs to hide the knife to get through security. Yeah, and but Robert Kardashian probably disposed of the knife. They never found the knife, unfortunately. All right, listen, we'll take our break. When we get back, I will go to the calls. Back after this.
Making morning radio great again.
OJ was innocent of what? Jethro, if you really believe that, call me. I got to hear that. Yeah, they found the killer, OJ. There was a witness, Ron Goldman. He was killed for witnessing it. Ron Goldman's blood was inside OJ's Bronco.
Weather brought to you by Palm Beach Patio Furniture. Route 1 Seminole Plaza Shops, North Palm Beach. Palm Beach Patio Furniture.
Yeah, we used to have this rapper. This local rapper wrote a song called OJ Didn't Do It. And he would come. He used to come in. I remember some of the song. It was very bizarre. I have that on CD. I got all this stuff in boxes in my garage. Who is left alive? Yeah, I put a poll there in the chat. Did OJ kill Ron and Nicole if you want to participate? Yeah, Cato Kalin, he went to McDonald's with OJ after the murders.
Surgery and no drugs. He's open 6 days a week, and same-day appointments are available. Call right now for your free consultation. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. Make sure to tell Dr. Appleton you heard about him on the radio.
Jokes online after he got Twitter access or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, he never. Where did he kill his?
Los Angeles?
Los Angeles. He said he'd never go back to Los Angeles because he knows his killer's still. Their killer's still.
Oh yeah.
It's like, bruh.
Yeah.
It's so dumb, but like, really try to keep it going.
If you've been billed properly by a doctor's office or a hospital, they can help you with that too. They'll even be your advocate when you're in the hospital to make sure you get the care you need and the care you deserve. And that's just the beginning of what they do. I Will Advocates takes care of all Steve Kane's healthcare issues too, and they can do the same for you. I Will Advocate clients are family, and they go to bat for their family when you need them the most. Call Debbie at I Will Advocates right now. Toll free 1-877-275-2326. 1-877-275-2326. 1-877-275-2326.
This message is sponsored by the Florida A&M University Medical Marijuana Education and Research Initiative, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Mary on Demand is live. Start your marijuana education journey today. Learn at your own pace and check out the Medical Marijuana Education Series. You decide what you'd like to learn and when with Mary on Demand.
All right, we'll be back shortly, guys.
That's mmeri.fau.edu. And remember, recreational marijuana is still legal in Florida. Mary, educate, learn, talk.
Are you living your best life? Are you feeling the way you know you should be? This is John, CFO at Lighthouse Medical Center. Our hormone optimization therapy programs have helped so many people get back to feeling the way they did in their 20s. They're full of energy after a long day, reduced their risk.
Why didn't I put I don't know in the poll? Because that's a stupid question.
Sleeping the way they should without disturbances and reducing their symptoms of aging. Our all-natural hormone optimization therapy is precise, easy, and effective from day one. Office visits are usually less than 5 times per year, and the cost is only $150 per month for most patients. Let our medical team get you optimized and living your best life. Our family medical practice has been serving South Florida for over 70
Now, guys, someone has put together. Someone sent this to me today. It is a poll that someone has put together on the best podcast, the best conservative podcast. So if you guys, I'm going to put it in the chat. Vote for mine, because I know mine's the best. All right, we are back. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning.
Oh, hey, Richie.
Yeah, I'm going to say a couple things. First of all, did I think OJ was guilty? Absolutely. I applaud the black community of LA for letting him walk. When I hear you say the police got carried away a little bit, I watched them.
Who said that? What are you listening to? I didn't. Oh, you're talking about Rodney King. Oh, you're talking about Rodney King. Yeah.
Yeah. You dismissed that like it was OJ overreacted or what. Let me tell you something. If somebody in the street saw you doing that to your dog or cat, this was a human being. I don't care what he was flashing, what he was driving.
No. I'm not justifying the beatdown of Rodney King, but but I've been listening to this justification of letting the murderer of two white people go free because of it.
I agree with it, and I'll tell you why I agree with it. Thank God for that black community out in California at that particular time. I didn't know it at the time. But this particular court system that we have in this country that we've been told is the best in the world and it works, doesn't work. And if you have no money, I've gone to trials. When I was a bus driver, when my daughter was young, I used to go to Fort Lauderdale. I used to go to all the trials in the morning and sit there because I didn't start till the afternoon. I used to watch every day, and people with money had lawyers walk away, and the blacks that they got nailed.
Yeah.
Public defenders.
Yes.
They have money. This is a bullcrap system we have in this country, and they brought it to light. And now they're trying to push it on President Trump. Can you imagine if President Trump had no money? He would have been in jail all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sucks. This system.
Well, it's. Do you know of one? Do you know of one that's better?
I don't live in another country, so I can't go back.
Well, you don't know. Is there another? There's not. Well, it's not perfect. That's for sure. It's not perfect. It's got problems. Listen, as long as judges can be bribed, you're going to have. We have several crooked judges and prosecutors here, but I want to try to. I know it's open phones, but this OJ case, it was a big wake up call because I did not know until that verdict came in how racist black people were in this country. I was in shock.
I don't think they were racist. I think they felt that they were getting abused, and we don't know what the situation was out in California at that particular time. But I actually
the LA cops eventually went to prison, federal prison. They got acquitted in the local trial in LA, and they brought federal charges against him. Do you remember the name of the main officer that beat Rodney King?
No, I don't.
Well, let me see if anybody remembers. It was Stacy Coon. Is that a strange name for that guy to have? That's probably why he was racist. He had that name.
There's another thing. Juries don't get it straight. Look at this guy that walked away in Parkland with his life while he slaughtered people begging for their life in Parkland. I know you're not for the death penalty, but those parents I watched that trial, and if anybody deserved the death penalty, it was him. And I can tell you another thing. I knew somebody that actually. Do you remember the Stalbert Magruder and his partner? They were down in Miami. They were Colombian drug lords. I knew the former that actually took bribery money and did 20 years in prison. Mm-hmm. Juries don't get it right.
Yeah, no, they're corrupt. I mean, the system's corrupt, but there's not a better one. I mean, there's no way to improve it. But the whole thing with OJ was set up. If you remember, Brentwood, where the murders happened, is an upscale area, and Gil Garcetti, who was the prosecutor at the state's attorney, he moved it to downtown to get a black jury. So they purposely moved it to get an acquittal.
Absolutely. I told you, I think he did it, but he was a sacrificial lamb. Letting him go brought light to what's going on.
Oh, really? And what? Oh, give me a break. Give me a break. And what good did that do? What good did that do? You know, I've seen the verdict read like 5 times in the last day because it's all over the news. And you look at Ron Goldman and his daughter and how sick they are when that verdict came in. It's pretty twisted.
I understand it was twisted, but how many black kids?
Oh my goodness!
Got convicted. You don't believe
what? Yeah, sure.
That they didn't do.
Well, I don't understand. I don't understand the relevancy.
You don't.
No.
It's a
So because the system is flawed, you want to let because innocent people may have been convicted and probably have. You want a guilty man to go free? I don't understand that.
I'll tell you how flawed it is. If a murder is convicted and they know if a black man's going to walk, they'll try to get him to an all-white jury. I mean, I just think the whole system stinks at this point. I see it with President Trump. I am so disgusted with our court.
Well, we don't know about President Trump yet because we don't have any convictions yet. Yeah.
To get lawyers to lawyer up.
Oh, fortunes. All right, Richie, take care. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show.
Hi, this is Maureen Cohen from Nutrition World Palm Beach Gardens. We are so excited to be celebrating 50 years here in South Florida. The Cohen family started their first health food store in 1972, and ever since have been one of the largest locally owned, family-run health food stores in the area. We carry thousands of supplements like vitamins, minerals, herbs, homeopathics, diet and fitness, and so much more. All your favorite top-quality brands. We also have tons of natural foods like gluten-free, paleo, and organic, as well as health and beauty aids, pet foods, and more. Visit Vanessa, Trish, Denson, Scott, and Bruce. So
guys, I'm going to put this link in. If you could vote, there is a survey going on the best conservative podcast, the 25 best conservative podcasts. My name's been entered, so it's at this link. If you go down, you vote. I know mine's the best. You go down, and if you could vote for mine. You know, Richie wants to Richie has a reputation of being a racist, so he wants to make you all, think that he's not. Well, thank you, per Kayla. Well, T-Dot, call me on the air and we'll talk. I've forgotten more about that case and trial than you know probably. Gosh, we had so many people. We had on this show. We had Fred Goldman, Chris Darden, Marsha Clark, Bruce Jenner. We had a lot of people from that case on.
You'll feel younger, you'll have more energy, you'll get your sex drive back, and women, hormone replacement pellet therapy completely stops and reverses all the signs and symptoms of menopause. Mood swings gone, night sweats gone. I've met listeners before and after hormone replacement pellet therapy with Dr. Matez, and when I first meet him, they're like Joe Biden, and no one wants to be like him. And then I meet them again after they began hormone replacement pellet therapy, and they have their energy back, just like Trump. They're standing up tall, and they feel...
You're all welcome to call in. I put the poll in there. You guys can weigh in on that, and I'll go over the poll later. There should be more votes in that poll. All right, and at MyPillow.com, just amazing sales going on with our promo code Kane. I want to talk about the Giza Dream Sheets, which are as low as $25. I can't believe that this spring sale is really got some top items. You know, the Giza Dream Sheets of Mike Lindell's, I don't know, like 8 sets of these. I have regular and flannel. They're made out of the best cotton in the world, which is Giza cotton, 100% Giza cotton. And they regulate your body temperature. You're the perfect temperature all year long. You're perfectly cool and comfortable during the summer and warm and toasty during the winter. And, you know, I've had these sheets since they first came out. I've washed them I don't know how many hundreds of times, and they look like the day they arrived because everything Mike Lindell makes is such high quality. But with our promo code Kane at checkout, just $25, I'd order a few. In fact, I'm going to tell my wife maybe we should do some early Christmas shopping with this spring sale. I'll just tell you one amazing thing about the Giza Dream Sheets that blew me away. When you make the bed and you've got that bottom fitted sheet, it's so difficult with other sheets to get that bottom sheet on properly. You get one corner on perfect, the second corner it's the third corner barely, and by the time you get to the fourth corner of sheets on that bottom sheet, you're using all of your strength. And pulling on it so hard that if your fingers slip, you're going to fly across the room, and you just barely get it over just enough of the corner, a millimeter, to hold it together. You know what I'm talking about? With Mike Lindell's 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets, you can get all 4 corners on perfectly, even with the mattress topper, with just 2 fingers and a thumb. Boom, 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 boom. That's it. It fits perfectly every time. It's amazing. So go to MyPillow.com, order your MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets, just $25 with our promo code Kane, K-A-N-E. I don't know how he's making money with these prices, but take advantage of it. You can also order by phone, 1-800-716-4879. He probably plans on making it up in volume. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane, K-A-N-E. All right, back to the phones. It is open phones, but we're talking a bit about O.J., the guiltiest man who ever lived, who ever got away with murder. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. Good morning.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, I just answered your question. This is Fred from Coral Springs. To answer your question from earlier, I know exactly where I was both times when the verdict and the chase happened with O.J. Like you, I was working radio back then, and we had a top 40 station, which was kind of like a morning zoo. So we used to do crazy things on the radio the entire time the trial was going on. We even had, the big voice guy like you got, coming in and out of your breaks, cut a deal or cut a bit, and it was called the O.J. Update. We would do crazy stuff like, what is Kalen wearing today? And
Was that in this market or out of state?
No, it was in Montgomery, Alabama.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we had a rule that we had a TV set in the control room, and it had to stay on the Weather Channel. And during the O.J. trial, we actually let the jocks watch on Court TV or CNN, which was the only one that existed then, the actual trial. But I used to get off like you at 9 o'clock, and then I, do some commercials, et cetera, and then I'd zip home, and I was like glued.
Well, yeah, I at the time I got off at 10 a.m. off the air, and the trial started at 11 or 12 every day, usually 12 because of the time zone. So, and I watched it until I went to bed at night. Then got into what we did at our radio station. Those of you that listened back then, this is when we were back on the old 1400 WFTL, which was an amazing radio station. There was no technology, and we had a low-budget, place. Steve, there was no internet. Steve Kane was the program director, and he had to work all day doing stuff, driving around, and he couldn't stay home and watch it. So for the entire trial, he preempted all programming during the day to carry the O.J. trial, and it was, I remember who the hosts were, Gary Daniels, Cliff Dunn, Joyce Kaufman, and Al Rantel. They had no shows for a year. And what they had to sit there in the studio. They had no shows, and we had a television set in the studio, and we just put a guest mic up to the speaker of the TV, And we did that for the whole year, so Steve didn't miss a second of the trial. The other people on the station were pissed, but he was the program director, so, I didn't mind it, because I was compelled by it. But if you were Gary Daniels, Joyce Kaufman, Cliff Dunn, or Al Rantel, you didn't talk for a year on the air. You were pissed. You were just sitting there, They were ticked.
Well, back then, something like O.J. or McVeigh and the bombing and, the Challenger and Waco and all that stuff happened when there was no other media for the most part.
That's right.
One station on cable, and, sadly I was on the air when Waco happened and the Challenger blew up. Anyway, I just wanted to let you...
No. Do you remember both? Okay. It was huge. All right. Appreciate the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, it's Ben from Buffalo.
Mike. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't believe in collective guilt, so the idea that O.J. needs to go free because Rodney King...
Well, this is Richie's thing. Richie has a reputation of being racist in the audience, so he's trying to make... I'm not racist. I think O.J. should have gone free. I agree. That's what Richie's doing.
Yeah, maybe. But I do agree with him that our court system sucks, and you don't even have to compare it to another country. You can just compare it to this country and what it used to be. And we didn't used to have all these activist judges. We didn't used to have, if you look at the Trump trials, they take something you did and twist it in a very manipulative way to make it look like you were, they don't care about your intentions or the truth. They just try to take whatever information they have and manipulate it to make it look like you were guilty regardless of what they know. So it's just gotten worse over time, and I think that correlates with the moral decay.
Well, as you get older and you experience things that people talk about that didn't experience it, and I'm listening to these people intellectualize the O.J. verdict. You had racist blacks on the jury who wanted a black man to get away with killing 2 black people. Exactly. And that's it. I mean, come on.
If you heard them talk and justify their verdict, there wasn't any great grand philosophy behind it. They were just we wanted to get back at them for Rodney. We wanted to get back at them for Rodney. That was it. That was the pure...
And I'll tell you that the other thing too is no one was more surprised of his acquittal than his own defense team. His defense team, because I remember that morning. The defense team, I just forgot his name. Dershowitz. Dershowitz was part of the Dream Team. And I've interviewed Alan Dershowitz many, many times on the program over the years. He's been on my podcast several times. Alan Dershowitz was part of the Dream Team because he's an appellate attorney who handles appeals, and he was part of the O.J. Simpson defense team because they always expected a conviction that they were going to appeal with Alan Dershowitz, who was very famous because he got Klaus von Bülow off in an appeal, who killed his wife, and when that verdict came in, Robert Kardashian, for you youngins out there, Kim Kardashian's dad, Robert Kardashian he looked like he was going to throw up. He was in such shock at the acquittal. He couldn't believe it.
Yeah, another thing to point out how bad our court system is. I mean, look at the George Floyd case. Some of the officers and Derek Chauvin, now that it's coming out that it was he just died from an overdose, and political pressure has everything to do with influencing juries and officers who had nothing to do with.
Derek Chauvin should not have gone to prison for murder. Just by the way, either should the Apple River guy who got convicted yesterday should not have been convicted of first-degree murder either. By the way.
Yeah, and the guy, there was one of the officers. It was his 3rd day on the job, and he was just doing what he was told, standing, keeping crowd control. He got 4 years, and he was half black or something.
He was standing there because he was a rookie, and Derek Chauvin was like a senior officer. What was he supposed to do? The thing about the O.J. verdict, so much of this crap that we're dealing with is a direct result of that. This Black Lives Matter, all this stuff was born out of that racial verdict. Listen, I got to run for the top. Appreciate the call. Callers on hold, stand by. We will take our break for the top of the hour. My name is Brian Craig. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show. Now, it is open phones, although I've been talking about O.J. and that verdict and everything because of the death of O.J. And I would certainly like to hear your thoughts on OJ. Do you remember more where you were during the chase or the verdict? But it's open phones as well. We'll be right back.
WSFS 104.3 HD3 Miramar, WIRK 103.1 HD3 Indiantown, and heard in Broward on 96.9 FM, Boca Raton on 95.3 FM, West Palm Beach on 95.9 FM, and in Martin County on 106.9 FM.
I keep saying I want to do it and I forget, but is there a wrench anywhere here to tighten that? We're not getting it tight enough.
So, I was talking to Mike about it yesterday. And
Yeah.
We need to just switch one of the screws with the other, like another one. And
Okay.
when I tightened it yesterday,
It was pretty tight for a few weeks, but
well, I told Mike, I said, like, hey, like the screw keeps falling off no matter how much we tighten it up. I was like, it just keeps getting loose, it keeps falling out. So Mike's like, it shouldn't be doing that. So
well, I'm probably the only person who stands up and walks around and moves it. Everybody else that uses it probably sits down and stands still.
That's what I'm thinking.
But,
Well, when he was testing out, he was like shaking the mic like violently, and
And
it
it-
wasn't falling.
oh my gosh.
I was doing it. I was like, oh no, it keeps falling. I was like, now you're not having it fall, but I was like,
Yeah, it falls a lot.
So
All
he's
right.
like, oh, it should be fine. I'm like, okay.
You want to take this one out?
Yeah. See if a different screw can do better on it.
That's the old one. They really...
Should just tighten it up.
I know, everybody else sits down. I'm the only one that moves the mic around.
It even feels better going in. That one, like, it's
Okay.
kind of harder, so hopefully that...
No, that's a little loose up there now. Oh my gosh. It's very loose. See this up here. When I turn that, it loose. Okay, now I think you got to tighten both in opposite directions.
That is very complicated. Why?
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Well, we'll find out. I don't know. It's loose. I can see it.
Even I'm
See,
stressing
there's
right
a space.
between.
See, I can't get it any tighter.
If it
All right.
still goes,
All right.
gonna tell Mike to get a wrench because you know, you keep this right here if this screw's better.
Okay. Well, most people, when they're on the air, don't walk around and do stuff like I do. Okay? So, everybody else sits in the chair. There's a big stool here high up, and, but I don't do that. Two weeks from tomorrow is the cruise. Now, guys, I will be live streaming from the cruise and everything, so get those notifications clicked. And on my other channel is where, because on this channel, when I'm on the cruise, I'll be doing like I'm doing now. News, politics, the issues. On my other channel, I'm going to upload, like the cruise stuff. Like the cruise activity stuff, our excursions and the stuff on the ship and stuff, I'm going to put on my other channel. The reason I agree with you about pliers and a wrench, but if I do that and strip it, everybody will blame me. Or if I do it and it gets stripped later on, I'll get blamed. And as crazy as it sounds, this arm and everything connected to it the arm that the mic is on cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So I wanted to glue the screw in, but Someone from management, Mike told me, came in yesterday, and they were like moving it around. They couldn't get it to fall off. But me, I'm always turning it around and moving around and stuff. So, well, that's what I do with. I am building a new studio at home. My room where I do my studio, I'm redoing that entire room in my house. All right, we are back. Our number 1-888-465-2631. I've been talking about OJ, the trial, the racist verdict, etc. And again, it's open phones. You don't have to talk about OJ, but I'd certainly like to hear your thoughts about it. All right, some of these people have been holding on for a while, so let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, it's Doug.
Oh, hey, Doug.
First thing you may want to do is get something called Loctite on that.
You're watching on YouTube. The mic keeps falling off the stand. I'll tell you that. Okay, let me tell you. Okay, the microphone. If you watch on YouTube, it happened several times yesterday. It happened this morning. The microphone keeps falling out of the mic arm, and I am the only person this happens to at the radio station, because if you watch me on YouTube, I move around I probably look like I'm a tweaker, because I stand up when I'm on the air and I'm moving around and I'm moving the mic everywhere. Everybody else either sits down and doesn't move the mic, and I'm moving the mic constantly, and when I do that, I unscrew it, so when I'm on the air constantly, the mic is falling off the arm. But that's okay, I know, whatever.
Might help it out, maybe.
I got overruled. I wanted to glue it, but I got overruled.
Loctite is not a glue, but it just holds the thing.
It holds it better. Okay, well, right. I'll tell the engineers.
Anyway, I was hoping that OJ would have a deathbed confession, or at least say he didn't do it, or something. At the end, but I guess he didn't do anything like that.
Yeah, remember the defense, the Colombian necktie, that it was Colombian drug dealers who did the Colombian necktie. But OJ did confess. He wrote his book, If I Did It, and he laid out his versions of how he did it. And of course, Fred Goldman got the rights to that book and released it as I Did It. But come on, everybody knows he did it. But I think OJ, because I was watching some of the interviews of OJ over the years, and since he got out of prison for the other stuff, and I think OJ thinks that Nicole deserved it. If you remember, what had happened is. He had bought her, if I remember correctly, a Ferrari, and they were split, and he saw Ron Goldman driving the Ferrari through Brentwood, and that's what flipped him out.
Unbelievable to do something like that. I had no idea. You just put up all these years. I had no idea that he was trained with knives to be.
Well, yeah, he played. It was a pilot for a television show. Where he played a Navy SEAL, and that pilot's never been shown, but they had scenes from it they introduced into evidence, into the trial, of him cutting people's throats in the thing. They even on the witness stand, he bought, when he was filming the pilot for this Navy SEAL show, he went and bought a knife from a knife shop. And it was a knife that was consistent with the wounds of Ron and Nicole. It was a big knife that had those, like a Rambo knife with that serrated end and all that. The prosecutors even brought in as witnesses the two guys that sold OJ the knife.
I bet they remember that. Boy, it was a long time ago. Boy, I forgot pretty much. I wasn't that interested in.
Oh, I was upset. I have forgotten more about that trial and case and evidence than most people ever knew. I mean, it was covered. I didn't watch it on CNN. WSVN Channel 7 carried it live every day, and I didn't make a lot of money on that old radio station. I didn't have cable. I couldn't afford cable TV. I had broadcast TV only at the time, so I watched it on Channel 7, and all day long, Patrick Frazier, who's still at Channel 7, and Howard Finkelstein. No, Howard Finkelstein, he became public defender in Broward. They did all-day coverage of it on WSVN Channel 7, all day, every day. And I watched it every second.
I know when that guy was started, I said, how is this defenders, prosecutors, going to ever be able to beat this team? These guys are so smart, and they're just low-end prosecutors.
Like the thing with the gloves, I watched, the glove thing was hilarious, okay? The stupidity of Marsha Clark and Christopher. When O.J. put on the gloves, since they were evidence, he couldn't touch the gloves. So he had rubber gloves on. And he tried to put these tight leather gloves on over the leather gloves. Plus, he was an actor. He was in a lot of movies. Capricorn 1. There was another movie he was in where he played a cop, O.J. Cocaine and Blue Eyes. I used to watch all the O.J. movies. There was one movie that O.J. was in. I don't remember the name of this. Richie probably does. He played a bus driver, O.J. And O.J. was driving a bus I think from L.A. to Vegas with gamblers, and the bus got hijacked, right? They got robbed because everybody on the bus had money to gamble in Vegas with. So these guys in dune buggies hijacked O.J.'s bus. And there was one really good-looking girl on the bus, so they kidnapped her to go rape her. And they shot the tires out on the bus, and O.J. was the bus driver. He fixed the bus and rescued this girl from the rape gang robbers in the desert in the bus. O.J. was like, he made a lot of movies. People forget. O.J. was huge. People have no idea how big he was.
Yeah, he was a big star. I didn't watch most of his movies, but
I saw them all. And so when they put on the gloves, so when they put on, if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. That BS, right? So you can even see it now if you go and watch the footage that they show. He had rubber gloves on underneath because you can't touch the evidence, and those leather gloves didn't fit well over them because he had the rubber gloves underneath. But he was an actor, and he was also acting with the struggling. He was pretending to pull. You know what I mean? It was such BS, and in fact, he rehearsed that. They rehearsed that, him and his lawyers, prior to that day, him acting, not being able to put the gloves on. He even confessed when he was in jail during the trial. You know Rosie Greer? Football player? Rosie Greer? Okay. Rosie Greer, who was also an actor. I saw him on an episode of Chips recently. And Rosie Greer went to visit O.J. in the L.A. County Jail during the trial. And O.J. confessed. He said, I killed the bee to Rosie Greer. And the jail guards overheard it. And they reported it. So the prosecution wanted to bring the guards in and Rosie Greer in to testify because O.J. had confessed. And they in the jail, they had witnesses and everything. Rosie Greer did one of those mail order things where he had became a minister. So he was a minister. And the Judge Ito, this corrupt judge in the case, didn't allow it. They wanted to put Rosie Greer on the stand too because it was considered him having a conversation with his pastor, Rosie Greer. I mean, couldn't you believe this crap?
I remember when the glove was on, I said, listen, I wear a lot of leather gloves. I play ball, and if they get wet, they shrink. So I said, I saw that if this thing was full of blood, it might have shrunk, and there's no way, even if it was his glove, it was going to fit. So I thought that was not.
And yeah, I mean, I can't. All this stuff about that trial is just popping back in my head. This is what it's like to have Alzheimer's. You remember the past so well. I mean, I haven't thought or talked about this stuff in years, and a lot of these little details of like the Rosie Greer confession, that OJ made and all that. That stuff's not. Nobody remembers that stuff but me.
You don't know it at all.
Yeah.
It's a sad thing. He's dead now. Now you have to face God to see.
Oh yeah, yeah. All right. Appreciate the call. And when after OJ got away with murder, he moved to Miami, and he was very infamous down here. And do any of you guys remember what happened with OJ at WQAM? Oh my goodness, 560 WQAM sports station. Neil Rogers was on the air there at the time. And the OJ had moved to Miami, and the PR guy, who I cannot remember his name, and I didn't know him well, but he was an acquaintance of mine. I didn't work at that station, but I had friends that worked there at the time. The promotions guy at WQAM in Miami, they had an annual golf tournament, and he had set OJ up to do a celebrity appearance at the QAM golf tournament. Do you remember this? Holy smokes, did that cause it? He got fired. The PR guy got fired. And I remember the time, why'd they fire him? He didn't just make it up. He had to go to management. OJ was going to get paid. The PR guy wasn't going to pay him. The GM of the station authorized it. And they, it all rolls downhill. And it was crazy what happened at QAM. It was a big controversy. All right, our number 1-888-465-2631. When Steve joins us later, I'm sure he's got all kinds of OJ memories. It was a terrible time. I did have one, other than the time when I went to his house and he came out when I was there. I talked about this on my podcast last, but I'll tell you guys again. My stepfather, who passed away years ago, was a construction worker guy. He worked in the construction business. And he was doing a job on I-95 in Miami. This is when OJ lived in Miami. And OJ drove by where the construction site was. And this was on I-95. And all the guys on the construction crew saw OJ and said, "Juice!" And they all waved at him. OJ was so desperate for attention. He drove by him. They all said, "Juice, juice." He got off of I-95, turned around, got back on, exited it again, then got on so he could go the way they were. And he pulled over at my stepfather's construction site, and he spent 2.5 hours talking to my stepfather and the construction crew. That's how desperate. OJ was so hated that he was talking to strangers on the side of the road for 2.5 hours. It was nuts. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Again, this was so many years ago. Today, my stepfather would have recorded the whole thing on his iPhone. I would have put it up on YouTube, and it would have gone viral. But my favorite thing that happened that was insane, he was doing an interview on television. He was doing this TV interview, OJ, and it was out in California, and he was walking down a boardwalk. And they're interviewing him, OJ, it's after the verdict and all this crap. And a woman comes up and says, OJ, can I shake your hand? Everybody's seen this. You ever see this, Mike? And she says, I never shook the hand of a murderer before. And OJ's like, oh, well, But no, those were the days, OJ. But as I said, it is open phones. You don't have to talk about OJ. We'll take our break. We'll come back. There are other things to cover. I will get to some other topics. But our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. We'll be back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Isn't that the one where after he told the reporter, I have a surprise for you, and she opened up the door and he has a knife and he's like, ah!
No, was it that one? Maybe. I don't know. Is it that same interview?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
She's like, that's not funny. Like, really?
That's crazy.
Nut job, bro.
Yeah, he was
A lot of
nuts.
people are speculating that it was CTE from his football days.
Oh, yeah, that was the excuse.
Yeah.
exhausted after work with no energy left in the tank to give your family? Are you having a midday crash on a daily basis? Women, are menopause symptoms like hot flashes, anxiety, and depression making your daily life feel far more difficult than it should? Men, do you feel like you are aging far beyond what you should? Is your sexual life and relationships suffering because of disappointments in the bedroom? Then take action and let our medical team at Lighthouse Medical Center help you stop the symptoms that are holding you back. We use all natural hormone optimization therapies with precision technology to help solve your problematic symptoms. Our family-owned practice has had the honor of serving our South Florida community for over 71 years. Call us right now and let our medical team get you optimized and feeling the way that you should. Life is too short to be running at less than 100%. You and your family deserve. Call us at 754-222-6642 or visit us at lighthousemedicalcenter.com to schedule your consultation today.
La Bamba Restaurant, a family-owned authentic Mexican restaurant for 33 years. Come on in for a delicious taco salad, steak quesadilla, or a cold margarita. La Bamba is located at 730 US Highway 1 in North Palm Beach. Check out labamba123.com. Have you put off buying new tires because you thought they were too expensive? Find friendly prices at Friendly Tire and Market.
We'll see. Al Knight texted me. He said the same thing happens to him on the weekends. It falls out. So.
Sorry, if you all just slowly start saying that it's falling apart, and you'll someone come in the streets.
Call for a quote right over the phone at 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445.
Mr. Fung. Which one was Mr. Fung? Was that the guy walking his dog, Mr. Fung, that heard the killing?
Tune in Monday, Wednesday, Thursday at 6 p.m. and Saturday mornings at 7:30 a.m. to the Jupiter Joe Money Show, where we answer all kinds of questions about retirement right here on your True Oldies channel.
Now back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the
All right, and Jupiter Joe Thomas, he has two free offers for you. One, of course, he's offering free phone consultations, which you really should take advantage of. And you can take advantage of the free phone consultation no matter where you are located. And, you know, Joe Thomas has been doing this for over 30 years. He's been in the financial planning retirement advisor business. He is a 5-time qualifying member of the $1 Million Roundtable, which is achieved by less than 1% of all financial advisors in the world. Isn't that amazing? And he's offering you a free phone consultation. And also free copies of his book, Retirement Know-It-All. And this is a great book, and it's a quick read. If you are retired or planning on retiring at any point of your life, maybe today's your last day or maybe it's 10 years from now, take advantage. Get this book. Take advantage of that no-charge consultation. I'm going to give you Joe's number. You can call for the free book or set up your free phone consultation. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And if you missed the number, just go to his website, jupiterjoe.com. All right, talking about OJ and those days. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Richard is Pompano.
Hey.
Okay, can I change the subject?
It's Fridays is open phones.
Okay, enough on this. Whatever. Okay, I was watching a business station regarding George Soros and how he wants to expand his empire, so to speak, and take over conservative radio stations. And one of them,
yeah.
he kick you off the air or kick any?
Well, no, I don't. First off, I don't work for that company. Actually, I so I have no worries there. But buying of radio stations is very much regulated by the government. Okay, the federal government. So by the time any of this happened, they will, have to go through the Trump administration in the second term, and it will not be allowed. But what they listen. Let me tell you, the consumers want that type of discussion, and one of the things that they've been trying to do is for years They've come up with many schemes to try to stop conservative voices from having a voice. And every time, it's like Trump. They failed, and we've come back stronger with a larger voice.
Want this guy gone?
Well, his son is running the show now. His son's been at the White House under Biden like over 70 times. So he's passed it on to his son, which I'm sure is brainwashed into his ways. So, that name is going to be around forever.
How big is Coon?
I don't know how big they currently are. They got a lot of stations. It's not going to happen. There's no way that the Trump administration is going to allow that to happen.
Okay, well, I hope he gets it. Go.
All right, absolutely. Take care. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, Eddie from Lauderdale. Good morning.
Hey, what's up?
So I dare to say that there is one court system better than the one that we currently have, and that is the court of public opinion.
Yes.
Because if it looks like a duck and walks like a duck, you know what they say, right? It's a shame because, I think with the current day, the current system, court system, I think the facts in a case seem to get lost in the sauce with processes and...
Well, I don't agree about the system, okay? As Richie said. What the big flaw is this judge shopping thing. We talk about OJ. The trial was moved to downtown LA from where the murders happened to get a jury that would acquit him. You look at this lawfare against Trump. They got a judge that was Hunter's boss at the law firm. They've got New York judges. They've got a Black Panther prosecutor in Atlanta. So, they're judge shopping, they're court shopping, jurisdiction shopping. That's a flaw, but I don't see the system as being broken. Trump hasn't been convicted of anything yet.
Right. And I guess what I mean by the system and processes, you got the defense side and prosecution side battling each other out on how things are handled and the processes of the facts, where meanwhile the facts are the facts, but yet they're trying to outdo each other, and that tends to get lost in the sauce, and you lose sight of what's actually happened, and you get a lot of mistrials or wrong convictions out of it.
I'm sure there's wrong convictions. I'm sure happen all the time. But a lot of times, a lot of these cases where people get exonerated through DNA testing, they're not always not guilty. A lot of them they're not always not guilty. They're not. You talk about cases that are 40 years old and they find some extenuating circumstance. That they were still in some of those instances they know they were there on the scene during a rape or a murder. Okay, so because it wasn't their DNA on the panties doesn't mean they weren't a party to it. There's DNA. The exonerations are very misleading.
Right, I agree with you. All right, Brian.
All right, take care. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Louisiana.
Oh, hey, Mike.
The name of that movie, that TV movie that he was in, was Frogmen.
Frogmen? That never aired. It was a pilot. It never aired, Frogmen.
It was a pilot. It never aired, but it was named Frogmen. That's the thing. Here's the deal with this thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't it supposed to have been the defense attorneys that request a change of venue?
As much as I remember, I can't remember who made the first motion to move it. I can't remember.
In cases like this, it's not the DA or AG that makes that decision. It's the defense attorneys.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe. And I remember when I went to OJ's house after the trial in Brentwood, and OJ came out of the front gate. It blew my mind. When I went one street over, Gil Garcetti, who was the prosecutor, was walking his dog. He lived the street behind OJ. He lived a block away from OJ. I couldn't believe it. So he had to know him and be friends with him the main prosecutor, Gil Garcetti, whose son went on to be the mayor of L.A. Yep.
And that's the thing. And think about this. I know what I was when the chase happened.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I was. I was down on the Mississippi Gulf Coast visiting family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we happened to be watching a basketball game, and guess what happened during the basketball game?
Yeah, was it during the... I remember that. I was at a bar. They had a game on. I couldn't remember if it was basketball or not. Then the chase started. They changed the channel.
Yes, that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. And all the men were watching the game, and we were glued to that chase.
You know, people don't remember that. The only thing that came close to grabbing the national attention was 9/11 to that. But that the O.J. Simpson trial, the whole country stopped down for a year. The only thing I couldn't figure out, during the chase, the Bronco chase, which was insane, there were people on top of the bridges, on the overpasses with the signs, and the sign said, like, I remember, don't squeeze the juice, O.J. didn't do it. And I always wondered, how did those people get those signs so fast that they were up on those bridges when O.J. drove underneath without cowlings?
Could have been looking at, remember during the riots of 2020, and we saw these trucks, and they had all the riot gear in the trucks, that all the signs, all the different things that were needed for the riots at the time, and we know how they got the riot gear. Maybe we just didn't see it. But
yeah, everyone was expecting a conviction, and which would result in riots. They figured because of the L.A. riots, right? That happened after the Rodney King verdict.
Young people today don't understand how famous O.J. Simpson was.
No idea. No.
For God's sakes, those Hertz commercials ran for how long?
You know, I'll tell you this. The most famous person in America today is probably Taylor Swift. O.J. was more famous than her in America at the time. And the thing about O.J., I don't watch football today, right? You know? And I never watched a football game. I don't even know when he stopped playing. You know, but he crossed genres because he did movies and television, you know, as well, you know. So he was bigger than any celebrity today, bigger than Taylor Swift in fame.
And that's the thing. That's what people nowadays don't understand about him. And yeah, it was you got a racist black jury that got him off. You know?
Yeah, that's right. And well, they acquitted him. I don't like that other term. But I'll tell you though, I was watching an interview. Some guys got the Bronco, the Al Cowlings Bronco. Remember, the Bronco was Al Cowlings Bronco. They both had white Broncos, and I saw that Bronco. Man, I would love to have one of those. Those Broncos were awesome. These new Broncos they look like they're made of plastic. You know, you ever see the new Broncos? Those old Broncos, I'd love to have one of those Broncos. Those are cool cars.
These things are going to be made down in Mexico because of what he did.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's the thing with this trial was that.
You know, when it really got, like, the country got engrossed by it was when O.J. was supposed to surrender to the police, and we're waiting, hours go by, and then the deputy police chief came out and had a press conference, and he said Mr. Simpson was scheduled to surrender at whatever time. The time came and went. We called his attorney. Mr. Shapiro said he'd have him here at this time. He did not show up. O.J. Simpson is now a fugitive from justice. Anyone who aids or abets Mr. Simpson will be arrested and charged as an accessory. And that's when things really got heated, was that police chief's press conference when Mr. O.J. Simpson is now a fugitive from justice. And that was like, whoa! That was like when it really took off.
Right, and that's the thing. Everybody in that had everything to do with that trial wanted to be famous.
Oh, yeah.
Judge, he wants to see. I mean, what happened after the trial?
All right, listen, I'm late. I'll tell you this. Okay, yeah, Kim Kardashian should be ashamed of herself. If she is, that whole family are billionaires because of the fame from the murders. I know Bruce Jenner was their stepdad, and I always liked Bruce Jenner and all that stuff. But Robert Kardashian, their dad, was OJ's best friend. He got famous from that. And Kim Kardashian's a real scummy person. Two things made her famous, right? The O.J. Simpson double murders, and then that porn movie that her mother released that she made with Ray J. All right, thanks for the call. We'll be right back.
Making morning radio great again. I think you're going to really love it. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Okay, Steve said he can't hear, so I just put the OL on my mic.
Yeah, I should be able to hear you.
I said try up. Yeah.
If you want to hear the radio station, then we got to put that OL on the mix.
Yeah. But the OL doesn't have to be on for the callers for him to hear, because if you have it on with the callers, I think the callers will get feedback.
Exactly. Yeah, we never turn on OL.
Yeah, Al Nice said it falls out about 3 times every air shift with him.
Huh. Yeah, I think that's a hint of we should probably...
Yeah, it hasn't fallen out for a while.
Yeah, still, but knock on wood. That might have just been the screw. Even though, like you said, it did feel a little loose. But and we got Siegel next as well.
Okay.
If he has a problem, just let me know.
Comedian Pauly Shore for 2 nights, April 19th and 20th. We also have the Petty Nicks Dinner Show, a tribute to Tom Petty and Steve Nicks, April 26th. And make your plans for the biggest party south of Churchill Downs, Kentucky, Derby Fest, May 4th, with live music from Sip and Fire, Derby Hat Contest, barbecue tent and bars, mint juleps, and much, much more. For tickets and info, go to pbkennelclub.com.
Brian Craig here. I've been telling you about how my chiropractor, Dr. Philip Appleton, has rid me of pain from a knee injury and arthritis pain with his laser away pain treatment.
Who said that? OJ's son did it? What a bunch of bullcrap that is. OJ's son did it. Yeah. OJ had the... Yeah, that was one of the BS things that they said during the trial. Why would his son do it? Does anyone remember where OJ went before the chase without Cowlings? Sicko that he is. I don't have to look into it. It's BS, warrior daughter. Give me a break. Yeah, that was one of the BS things that they threw out. Yep. He went to Nicole's grave. That's right. If I owned the studio, I would do it, but I got overruled. I wanted to glue it in myself, but Al Knight, he does weekends. He has the same problem. I don't mind problems. It makes it more interesting. No, I'll tell you about the clothes when we get back. Yeah, Al Cowling's still alive. I saw him yesterday. I thought he went to Nicole's grave, but it's been 30 years. Yeah, Rosie Greer is 91. Holy crap. I know. I told him about Loctite. We'll see. Yeah, Kathy and I even went and had lunch at OJ's golf club. What was the name of the golf club? Oh, does anybody remember the name of his golf club? I was just obsessed with the OJ trial. I'm pretty sure it was Nicole's grave. What was the name of OJ's golf club? Kathy and I went there and had lunch when we were in LA, right after the verdict. I forgot. All right, welcome back, everyone. Yeah, I was so obsessed with the OJ trial. I remember my wife and I, we went to LA right after the verdict, not long after the verdict, and when I saw OJ and went by the murder scene and went to Mezzaluna, the restaurant where Ron Goldman worked. I can't remember the name of the golf club, but my wife and I, someone we knew was a member of O.J. Simpson's golf club, so we went and had lunch at O.J.'s golf club. And if anybody remember the name of the golf club, I cannot remember that. And and I remember our waiter knew O.J., right? So the guy that we knew that was a member said, "Oh yeah, this waiter, whatever his name was, he knows juice." So we spent the whole lunch talking to the waiter about O.J. And he was talking all about O.J. I was obsessed with that, but I wasn't alone. The whole country was obsessed. Now, some idiot or listener during the break said that O.J. was covering up for his son. That was one of the defense misrepresentations. O.J., remember, there was a trail all the way back to O.J.'s house. O.J.'s shoe print was in the pool of Ron and Nicole's blood. Remember, he had specialty shoes, Bruno Maglia. There were only like a couple dozen of these shoes made worldwide in OJ's size, right? So OJ, his shoe print with his rare shoes that he said I'd never wear those. They showed in the courtroom. They brought up the shoes, and OJ said, "I would never wear those ugly-ass shoes." Remember that? He denied having those shoes, so they were so ugly. Ugly-ass shoes, OJ called them. Then they found footage of him when he was covering a football game, walking down the sidelines on NBC Sports with Nicole. He went off to kill wearing the shoes. Remember that? So they had his shoe prints, 100% his shoes, in the pool of blood. He had a white Bronco. It wasn't the Bronco from the chase. That was Al Cowling. They both had white Ford Broncos. Ron Goldman's blood was found on the center console of OJ's Bronco. And then when OJ went home to his mansion, he parked in the front of the mansion, and he cut his finger when he was killing Ron and Nicole. There were drops of his blood from the Bronco into the house. His clothes that he wore when he killed them were found in his washing machine. His daughter from his first marriage, she was an adult at the time, she was home. Not just Cato Kalin, his adult daughter from his first marriage was home. His daughter washed the murder clothes. And when the detectives got there, Mark Furman and the other guy, I can't remember his name now, they found the murder clothes in the washing machine. There was nothing else in the washing machine but the murder clothes. There's no, it wasn't his son, okay? There was never a man more guilty of murder than O.J. Simpson. Now, I'm very behind on the breaks because, can you tell I was a little obsessed with the O.J. case? But like I said, so was the whole country, not just me. So we're going to take our last break of the second hour. It is open phones today. You don't have to talk about O.J. On Fridays, it's open phones. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. And on Open MAGA Mike Friday, you can call in about any and everything on your mind, not just what we bring up, okay? The number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve.
All right, and it's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Hey, Brian, good morning. How are you?
Great. What do you have for us today?
To let people know and remind people that coming up next Tuesday, the 16th, April 16th at our office at 10 a.m., we are going to have our next Living Trust workshop. And that's going to be, like I said, held at our office on Tuesday, April 16th, 10 a.m. And I know we have a few spots left, so if anybody is interested in getting the information they need to make some decisions about taking care of their loved ones, not leaving a mess behind, protecting the inheritance they leave to people, making sure they can qualify, set things up so they can qualify and not go broke and be able to qualify for government benefits, to pay for care, avoid probate, avoid guardianship, and a host of other things, then call our office and schedule a time, make your reservation. And there's also going to be, for those people who come and schedule their initial consultation or estate plan review, they will also get a bonus
That's
discount
right.
certificate.
Now, did you say that was the 16th? Oh my goodness! Today's the 12th. It's right around the corner. Now, this is at your main office in Boca. All right, so guys, you can call today and reserve your spot. You can reach the Siegel Law Group toll free 855-FLA-3782. 855-FLA-3782. And online, SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, have a great weekend, Barry, and we will talk next week.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, we'll be right back.
Justice Warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is up.
All right, we're back on Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Yeah, so let me play this. This is Stephanie Elam. She's a CNN reporter, and this was yesterday. This isn't from 95. This is CNN yesterday. She's an African-American reporter, which is relevant to what she's going to say.
And it's also just worth noting how much was impacted by this trial, Jake. So many things happened. We saw policing changing here in the city. And it's also worth noting, because of that unrest, that racial unrest in the 90s, that is why so many people who may not have been invested in O.J. Simpson were just happy to see that someone who was rich and famous and black could get away with what other people did in the system as well, too.
Double murder. You know, the L.A. riots were about getting free crap. You know, I remember, do you guys remember the L.A. riots? Yeah. I remember these, there were these two, oh my goodness. That was some time for radio, the 90s. Oh my goodness. I remember the guys that were being chased by the police that had the couch during the L.A. riots. A big, long couch, one guy on each end. The police are chasing them. They outran the cops carrying the couch. I remember one guy, he broke into some store where they had mink coats. He had his arms out. It was on CNN because we didn't have all these other stuff then. he had mink coats piled in his arms as high as you could imagine, running down the street with mink coats. So these people today, there's so many people talking about the LA riots. It was not about Rodney King. It was an excuse to loot and get a bunch of free stuff, all right? And you want to talk about getting away with murder. There were store owners who were murdered by those rioters, and they got away with it. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Good morning. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Once, twice. Oh, hey, Richard. What's up?
Hey, I was just calling to find out why doesn't the RNC or any of the Republicans go after and file lawsuits against Biden for ignoring the support and giving them the finger and saying, I don't care what
yeah.
And nobody files any lawsuit.
Well, don't be so sure, because what they did, what the Biden regime did with the student loans, they came up with a different order on student loans. And if you notice, you get your student loan forgiven if you meet certain criteria. So what they're saying is it's a totally different order than the first one that the Supreme Court struck down. So they got to go back to the Supreme Court with this new one.
And that's why the Republicans should immediately file lawsuits against that.
You know, I disagree. If they do it, they do it. I'm tired of going to courts for things. You know, that shouldn't be going to court. This is about elections, and I just don't like this idea of going to court to try to get political things done. The best thing we can do is win in November, win as big as we can in the House, rescind all those executive orders, and that's the best. This idea of going to court and using the courts as a political tool, it's a very bad idea, in my opinion.
I would agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
We got to stay strong, vote.
Yeah.
Everybody out.
Correct.
And take over the United States.
Mm-hmm.
The American people.
Yeah.
United States Marine. I got out in 81. And the way this country's going, we're a third world country.
It's a what?
We're a third world country.
Oh, a third world country. Yeah, we are. We're being run by one. I mean, you know, listen, Joe Biden works for China. I mean, everybody knows this. He's not the only one. There's a lot of people in government who do. And everybody knows it. You know, we have corrupt leaders.
And that is why we need to stay strong, vote, and have all liberals, Democrats, vote all the corrupt politicians out of office.
Yeah. Where in California what part of California are you in?
Victorville.
I don't know where that is. What region of California is that?
That's in high desert.
Oh, the high desert. Okay. Does it tend to be conservative there as opposed to like Southern California?
Yeah, I would say all the pretty up.
Well, I gotta tell you, you know, California. I know to be Republican in California, it feels hopeless. But with as bad as things are getting, in particular in California, with this $20 minimum wage, California is not a sure bet for Democrats to sweep. And Republicans have a lot of opportunity in California right now. I'm not saying we could win it as a state for the presidential election, but a lot of congressional races could go Republican that typically wouldn't. You know, if Republicans in California can feel motivated to vote, because most probably don't feel it's a waste of time and don't bother. Hey, listen, I thank you for your call, all right, from the People's Republic of California. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jerry calling from Deerfield Beach, Florida.
Hey, Jerry in Deerfield. What's up?
Listen, first of all, I go back way back with Steve Kane.
Oh.
Came down in '78, and I'm a former Canadian from Montreal. Been here since '78, so I consider myself a Floridian. I have to tell you something. I'm so shocked at this country and my country, or I shouldn't even call it my country anymore. It's not. But I'm so shocked that I see the people here in the United States and Canada, I'm going to put it together, how they allowed this thing to happen when Cuba and Venezuela fell the way they fell. And I could never believe that a country this big and this smart is allowing this to happen. To let these scoundrels come into this country, the Bidens, the Clintons, all of them, they're corrupt. And, you know, I'm a God-fearing person. Not that I fear God. I love God. I'm Jewish, and I accepted Yeshua.
Oh, great. Great. You're a Christian. That's awesome.
He's our Savior. He is who he is. He was a rabbi before he was put on the tree, and we don't call it a cross. I'm a Messianic believer. And for all the Jewish people out there, we need to know what's going on. Stop voting liberal, you guys.
Well, you know, Canada, what's the name of the conservative leader in Canada? I forgot his name. The guy that was eating the apple during the interview? He's brilliant. What's his name?
I really don't know.
Oh, my gosh. I cannot remember his name because I don't follow Canadian politics too much. But the conservatives, there's a whole MAGA movement in Canada, and the MAGA conservatives are about to take over Canada, which is a beautiful thing.
Hopefully so, because it's about time that they got rid of Trudeau. I was there when his father was the prime minister.
Yeah, I remember his dad was prime minister when Clinton was president.
Yes, and not only that, he brought in socialism.
Mm-hmm.
They socialized medicine. They had all the doctors. All the doctors that left Canada are here in the United States, and most of them are in Florida. They're all Canadian doctors because they were put under...
Well, I'll tell you this. When don't do this till after 9 because you don't want to stop listening to us. But after 9 o'clock, look up the interview with the conservative in Canada when he's eating the apple doing the interview, and you'll be. It was amazing. He filleted this liberal reporter like Trump with Jim Acosta. It was great. All right, appreciate the call. All right, take care. Thanks so much. All right. After the top of the hour, Steve will be joining us, and Steve's got to have some OJ things to say because I mean he was as equally obsessed with the OJ trial as I was, and it was just a crazy time. So we'll continue with that. I have some other things I haven't gotten to yet, but it is open phones on Fridays, Open MAGA Mike Friday. You're welcome to call in about any and everything on your mind, not limited to what we bring up, all right? Our number's toll free. 1-888-465-2631. Now, I want to tell you about Dr. Appleton. I was telling you yesterday, some of our people that are coming from out of state for our cruise, which is we leave 2 weeks from tomorrow, some of our listeners are coming in early to see Dr. Appleton and take advantage of the laser away pain treatment because they know they're going to be more active on the cruise. They want those aches and pains gone. And one of them had reached out to me through our travel agent, Ian from Cruise and Travel Depot, and asked if I could call ahead. What am I, their concierge? And I said, you don't have to call ahead because appointments are not necessary and walk-ins are welcome with Dr. Appleton, even on Saturdays. So the ship doesn't leave until Saturday afternoon. You could, I would go on Friday or Thursday, but you could go in on Saturday, walk in without an appointment the day of the cruise. And be treated by Dr. Appleton. The laser away pain treatment works. It's 100% painless. There are no injections, no downtime, and no drugs. Give him a call. He's rid me of pain 5 times. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. Give Dr. Appleton a call and say bye-bye to your pain. All right, 2 hours down, 1 to go. We'll take our break at the top of the hour and continue. Steve Kane will be joining us. We'll get back to your calls on this open phone, open Mega Mike Friday. Our call-in number toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Back after this.
WSFS 104.3 HD3 Miramar, WIRK 103.1 HD3 Indiantown, and heard in Broward on 96.9 FM, Boca Raton on 95.3 FM, West Palm Beach on 95.9 FM, and in Martin County on
Can you hear me, Steve?
95.9 FM. Programming paid for by Vic Canales Media Group. Your home.
Steve? I can hear you getting ready. All right. He's not quite ready yet.
Weather brought to you by Palm Beach Patio Furniture. Route 1, Seminole Plaza Shops, North Palm Beach. Palm Beach Patio Furniture. Voted in the best of the best patio store in Palm Beach County. Palm Beach Patio.
Yeah, Pierre. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He's brilliant. That apple eating interview was one of the best interviews. The whole thing with the apple is to humiliate the guy. Can you hear me, Steve? All right. You there, Steve? You know, I can hear Steve, but I'm not sure. Steve, can you hear me? I can hear Steve, but I'm not sure he can hear me. So we're going to find out in a minute. I'm on OL. He just may not have his headphones on.
Say it one more time.
Steve, can you hear me? See, they're talking. He doesn't have his headphones on.
All right, so he should hear you though.
All right.
I'll wait by.
I am Lulu. You can. Yeah, there's a link in the description.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Steve?
Yes, I can.
All right. Talk normal, like you're going to talk.
Well, this is how I talk.
Okay.
I'm getting feedback in my ear.
What are you hearing? What are you hearing?
I'm hearing my voice echo in the headset.
How high is the cue? Move the cue back a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. What about now? No. Wait. What about now?
Yeah,
okay.
it's just a
Okay.
little loud, that's all.
Okay. All right. Stand by. That was part of the problem too, I think. The cue speaker.
It's right next to each other. So
You know, that's shouldn't be, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's weird.
It is weird. All right.
From between him and Eric, I try to figure it out.
He's hearing himself on the cue get picked up on my mic.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, because it's that close.
Mm-hmm.
Including his agent, his accountant, his financial advisor, and he told them that Mr. Otani wanted to keep that account private.
Wisconsin's Dane County, a police chase ended with an armed standoff and 2 deaths. Alexander Grunke killed, as was a 13-year-old girl with him. Investigators say police did not fire their weapons. This is ABC News.
Offered on ballot in all states where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit,
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
when you need
extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com. On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
All right, the third hour has begun. I'm Brian Craig, Steve Kane joining us. Hey, Steve. Good. I was very happy to find out yesterday, because I wasn't sure when the news first broke, but Fred Goldman is alive and lived to see the death of OJ. So that was nice. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, we've been Oh yeah.
It was 6 months straight.
A year. It was a year. The trial was 9 months, but there was a build. It was a year. You know.
It was OJ all day, every day.
Oh yeah, it was. I know.
See, you remember the day that he was acquitted?
I do. Yeah, I remember it well.
What do you remember about it?
I mean, I remember what I was doing and where I was. I wasn't on the. You were probably on the air then. I was already home from the radio station. I was on the air before, and I left and went home because I was afraid I'd miss the verdict. So I went home to watch the verdict on TV, and I was on the phone with somebody when it happened.
The studio. I left the building. I was so sick of it.
Oh, well, that verdict was so unexpected because, yeah, I was talking earlier. The reason that Alan Dershowitz was part of his team is because he was an appeals attorney, an appellate attorney. That was his specialty. And he had gotten Klaus von Bülow off for killing his wife in an appeal. And even OJ's own lawyers were expecting a guilty verdict that day. F. Lee Bailey, Johnny Cochran, and all of them, and including Robert Kardashian, who when that not guilty verdict came in, Robert Kardashian was shocked, and he was oh yeah, he's the one who probably disposed of the murder weapon, because if you remember when OJ killed Ron and Nicole, he came home, his daughter helped him, washed his murder clothes, and then he got Kato Kalin to go to McDonald's with him to give him an alibi. What a sicko, right? So he took Kato Kalin to McDonald's to make an alibi. Then he came home, dropped off Kato, went to Chicago, and he took with him golf clubs. And he took the golf clubs so he could get the knife through security. And at some point during all of this, the knife was disposed of. And I remember at the time, and I don't know why, and I'm not 100% sure why this was. Now, the Kardashians, nobody knew who these people were at the time, they were little girls. Nobody knew they were. But Robert Kardashian, Kim Kardashian's father, was OJ's best friend. And he met OJ at the airport. He was an attorney, too. He met OJ at the airport when he came back from Chicago. And if I remember correctly, they didn't say, here's the knife. I think OJ gave Robert Kardashian his golf bag, his golf clubs, and you saw Robert Kardashian, Kim Kardashian's dad, walking with the golf bag, OJ's golf bag. And everyone thought that either they tossed the knife out on the way home from the airport, or Robert Kardashian did it later. It was hidden in the golf clubs. That's probably what happened. They never found the knife, which it wouldn't have mattered. These racist jurors would have acquitted. If OJ got on the stand and confessed, they would have acquitted him. It wouldn't have mattered.
People have had movies.
Yeah.
Feature film.
Yeah. They still would have. Yeah.
It's disgusting. It was the most horrible miscarriage of justice you can imagine.
But the thing about it, yeah.
Then the murder itself was watching the reaction of blacks after the verdict was announced.
Well, yeah, and the thing was, see, this is the thing that people forget, because there's a lot of the thing I don't, as you get older and you live through things that become history, and you look back and you hear people talking about them with their revisionist history or weren't there, and you hear them describe it. And like, I'll tell you, I've been talking about OJ since 6. I had no plans on doing that. And I'm watching this news coverage, and the commentators talk about the OJ trial, and they're talking as if there was doubt. There was no doubt. And all of the black people that were cheering, they said, yes, he killed them. But white people, this was, I remember this was like every call we would get from blacks on the show. Yes, OJ killed those 2 white people, but white people have been getting away with killing black people for 400 years, so now 2 for us. So all these people that are doing commentary on television today that show the celebrations of the verdict, they knew it was an injustice, those people celebrating. They were celebrating that a black man got away with killing 2 white people. And they were very out of the closet about it at the time. There was something this is an important point I want to make, because I started with this earlier and I didn't finish. I started telling this and I didn't finish the story. And during the show today, I've still been looking for this and unable to find it. I left the radio station and went home because we were on Verdict Watch. And, back at this was at the old 1400 WFTL, and I was paid so little money at the time. Not only did I not have cable TV, so I had to watch it on Channel 7, which was fine. Patrick Fraser and Finkelstein, good. My car did not have a radio in it. I was on the radio. Keep in mind, I was on the radio, on the air, and I had a car that had no radio in it because somebody had stolen it out of the parking lot, and I couldn't afford to buy a new radio for my car. That's right. So the reason I sped home is I was afraid the verdict was going to come in during that drive window I had to my house. And since I didn't have a radio in the car, I wouldn't be able to hear the verdict, right? But anyway, I was watching the verdict on CNN. And now I mentioned this earlier, but I didn't finish my thoughts on this. CNN, and I looked for this about 30 minutes this morning before I left the house, and I've been searching for it online this morning during the show, during the breaks, and it's been disappeared from the internet. If someone can find this, please get it to me. When CNN carried the OJ verdict live, they had a split screen. One side of the screen was the courtroom. The other side of the screen, they had a camera in a room filled with law students from Howard University, which is this racially segregated school, Howard University. And when the verdict came in, those black Howard University law students jumped up like they won the NBA playoffs, the championships, the World Series, the Super Bowl, and the World Cup all at once. It was you've never seen celebrations like this. And I've said many times over the years, it's been a long time. Now it's been 30 years. I'd like to know what happened to these people, because there's a good chance some of them are federal judges today and such. And the reason I was looking for that is I was going to play it on the air. And now I'm not saying she was in this class, but Letitia James, the corrupt Attorney General of New York, she went to law school at Howard University. She went to Howard University School of Law, Letitia James, this corrupt Attorney General who should be in prison. So that's the kind of mindset of the Howard University law students. So my question is, why has this footage of the Howard Law School been disappeared? I've seen verdicts live on local news, online. Oprah Winfrey had a thing. She had an audience, blacks and whites, and her audience separated by race, watching the verdict. The blacks cheered. But I can't find the Howard University celebration. And, listen, that was 30 years ago. The picture quality is probably not that great. But I'm wondering if it's been disappeared because there's someone or some Well, there may be there may have been some people celebrating the verdict that have gone on to be important people in our government today, running the Justice Department or federal judge or so. It just seems odd to me that footage that was so. Everyone was talking about the Howard students at the time. After the day after, everyone was talking about that. It's been disappeared.
I think that's exactly what happened.
They're protecting someone in that group. Well, I'd like to know who they're protecting. Who was in that group that's important today? I'd like to know. Somebody, at least one.
It would be somebody famous necessarily.
For them to be important doesn't mean they're famous. It could be someone. Steve, I wouldn't be surprised if it was one of the judges up against Trump in these lawfare case. There's someone or multiple people in that celebration that they're covering up for, that they don't want people looking at and say, "Oh my goodness, look who that is." Look what, you know what I mean? So if anybody can find that footage, let me know and send it to me. All right. If you're on hold, stand by. It is open phones today. You don't have to talk about OJ. It's open phones on Fridays. Open Mega Mike Friday. You can call in about any and everything on your mind, but I like OJ.
Any kind of happening related to the tunnels?
No. That hasn't even started yet. No verdicts in Trump yet. All right, listen.
I heard there were
the trials, they're starting jury selection like next week. All right, we'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888.
No, I'm not saying Letitia, but somebody. All right, we are back. 2 weeks from tomorrow is our cruise, and we have had people on our past cruises who, a lot of people come from out of town, out of state. Some fly, some drive. We've had people drive to town to go on our cruises and stop off at Friendly Tire and get new tires at Friendly Tire in Margate because the prices are so low, and with the cost of everything going up, inflation. What's the opposite of inflation? I don't know. Deflation? I don't know. But Friendly Tire, actually, their prices have gone down during this time. I know, it's amazing. Do you know Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire has new tires as low as $65 a tire? New tires. And that's out the door and on the road because Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to balance the tire, mount the tire, or dispose of your old tire. So new tires as low as $65. He has all the name brands and love, Firestone, Bridgestone, Pirelli, but as low as $65, and that's on common sizes for a lot of vehicles, okay? I don't want to start naming vehicles because I don't want somebody to think it's not them. Call Mike over the phone. He'll give you a quote right over the phone, but as low as $65 a tire. It's the one place that I know of where inflation is not hitting it. It's actually, they've lowered their prices. Because if you notice, I've been saying for quite $70 a tire, right? Now as low as $65 a tire. Give Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire a call, 954-977-9445. I remember one of our listeners, he came down to Florida. He bought 2 sets of tires, drove back to New York with them, put them in his garage because the tires are so inexpensive. At Friendly Tire, 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. All right, our number 1-888-465-2631. What happened with the, you're talking about the Stormy Daniels case. They've started releasing the witness list, which includes Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen and others. That's the update in that. And, this idea... She's on the witness list. That doesn't mean she'll testify, but she's on the witness list. Yeah. Stormy Daniels. Isn't that something? It's disgusting. It's disgusting. First of all, that's a state court. They're charging him with something he didn't do, by the way. But no, they're charging him with a federal crime. Campaign finance charges are federal, and it's in state court. I mean, you can't charge federal crimes in local courts. So he didn't do anything, but even if he did, it's not within the jurisdiction of Bragg or that court. So, well, the judge is corrupt. This is the judge whose daughter took $10 million from the Biden campaign and the Adam Schiff campaign. So, this judge is corrupt. That's it. I mean, and they want to have a trial going on during listen, the convention's coming up. They want to use this trial to try to take the nomination from Trump and give it to Nikki Haley. Okay? Well, that doesn't mean they're not going to try. Okay? So, so they want this trial going on. And this trial, which is, the judge is corrupt. The judge should go to jail. He should be investigated. His daughter getting $10 million from Biden and Adam Schiff as a campaign consultant. Come on. Well, the judge, the $10 million for the judge, Steve, probably not the daughter. Well, yeah, think about it. Dick Morris and James Carville and Donna Brazile are the 3 most prominent campaign consultants I know of. I bet you those 3. I bet none of them have gotten $10 million in one drop from 2 different campaigns. There's no way. There's no way. So the $10 million to me looks like a bribe to the judge, right? Doesn't it to you? I mean, it looks like a bribe to the judge. I mean, yeah, exactly. So who's going to throw it out? New York? Letitia James? This is New York. It's run by Democrats. Hochul? Who's going to get involved in New York? But I'll tell you. Well, it's going to get. They don't care if they lose an appeal. They expect this to be tossed out on appeal because it's not within the jurisdiction of the court. Just based on that, right? What they want is a trial. They want Skanky Daniels on a witness stand, showing all her cleavage, testifying to something she gave us statements that did not happen. Okay, that she had some sex with Trump during the convention. They're also bringing up that Playboy girl, McDougal, who says she had an affair with Trump. So they got two women on the witness list that say they had sex with Trump. By the way, I don't believe any of these women, by the way, including McDougal. But even if McDougal is telling the truth, what's the crime? You know, having sex with someone. They're charging him with campaign finance violations. They're saying that the payments to Stormy Daniels were campaign monies, and they weren't legally reported. It was a campaign expense, and it wasn't reported properly. It's a campaign finance violation. That's nonsense.
Destroyed by these trials. I mean, they basically handed Trump the
Steve, when Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels are on the witness stand, believe me, it'll be timed in a way to try to hurt Trump for the nomination, and it'll be on TV. Well, it's still going to happen. It's not good. It's not good. Do you think it's good that it's happening? I mean,
this way. They have yet to have any action in a courtroom in this case that Trump's numbers didn't go up. It's over.
I understand, but listen, Steve, it's not good. It's not good for any married man, certainly not one running for president, to have some sleazy porn actress on CNN with probably 2 weeks of testimony detailing something that didn't happen as if it did. It's not good for your wife. Believe me, Melania's not happy. You know, I'm not saying they're going to be successful, but it's not good that it's happening, and it's really scummy. And Susan McDougal, not Susan McDougal, that was the Clinton woman. This McDougal, whatever her name is, the Playboy girl. We have a mutual friend of hers. Somebody we used to know knows her. I don't want to say on the air. Well, because probably they're not friends with us anymore, but they probably don't want their wife to know that they know her. Because I was always curious how they knew her. Yeah, not everybody's wife, knows that they know Playboy people. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Bob from Wisconsin.
Hey, Bob.
How you guys doing?
All right.
Hey, Steve. Hey, listen, Brian, did you guys happen to catch War Room last night with Joe Hoff? Natalie was...
No, I did not. Joe Hoff from the Gateway Pundit? Jim Hoff? Yeah, no, I didn't see it. What was it about?
Well, listen, they're taking these immigrants that are coming. They're sending them to Florida.
Yes.
Accident.
Mm-hmm.
They are registering.
Well, I'm sure DeSantis is all over that. He doesn't want Trump to lose, right? This. Let me tell you. I'll go and look at that. Jim Hoff. He's with the Gateway Pundit, which is one of the most credible conservative news outlets in America today. The Gateway Pundit. I go there multiple times a day. It's better than the Drudge Report was in its heyday. It's great. But DeSantis. See, I never trust a never Trumper. DeSantis the other day said he's going to do some fundraisers for Trump. If this story that you're talking about is true, he's letting it happen. He's the governor. He could stop it. And it makes me think he's a party to it and he's doing this. I'm going to fundraise for Trump as a diversion to make us think he's working with Trump while he's letting this crap that you're just talking about happen here in Florida.
Yeah, check it out. It's Joe Hoff.
I'll check it out. Oh, really? I did not know that they were twins. I just thought I couldn't get their names straight. It's two people? Oh, okay. Appreciate the call. I'll check it out. If you're on hold, stand by. Back after this.
Making morning radio.
Someone just said the police tampered with evidence. The police did not tamper with evidence.
Brought to you by Palm Beach Patio Furniture. Route 1, Seminole Plaza Shops, North Palm Beach. Palm Beach Patio Furniture. Voted in the best of the best.
The police did not tamper with evidence. All these things people say about the OJ case. Vote in the poll, guys. It's not a kind of a theory. We know for a fact he did it. The evidence was clear.
This traffic update is sponsored by True Green. True Green is the easiest and most affordable way to get a beautiful lawn. All you have to do is water and mow. And to top it off, when you sign up for an annual plan by April the 20th, you get one application free. Call or visit TrueGreen.com today. Restrictions apply. That's traffic. I'm Dory Don.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. It's showtime in the Paddock Restaurant at BBKC with actor and comedian Pauly Shore for 2 nights, April 19th and 20th. We also have the Penny Nicks Dinner Show, a tribute to Tom Petty and Steve Nicks, April 26th. And make your plans for the biggest party south of Churchill Downs, Kentucky, Derby Fest, May 4th, with live music from Sip and Fire, Derby Hat Contest, barbecue tent and bars, mint juleps, and much, much more. For tickets and info, go to pbkennelclub.com.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's always a free consultation with Dr. Matez. When you tell them you're right back on the radio, 561-320-8893, 561-320-8893.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Steve here. You want to go back to the phone, Steve?
I want to revisit just for a moment the issue of the significance of these legal cases. Granted, they were unpleasant for him to live through. I mean, I'm sure that there's no picnic. And, I know that he went through a lot, and it cost him obviously a fortune too. But you mean to say you don't think that from the very first courtroom they entered, I don't even remember which the first case was, you don't think these cases have worked in his favor from a legal point?
Legal, yeah, but what I'm talking about with this one, Steve, is this scummy judge whose daughter got paid $10 million by Biden and Adam Schiff, okay? Let me finish my thing and then tell me how great it is. And we got these two sleazy women that are going to go up and talk about how they had sex with him while he was married to Melania. It's not good for Melania. It's really scummy and lowlife, and it's not good. And it's not good. And it's not good for his marriage. Okay, and even though they're liars, and it pisses me off.
I agree with all that, but I must say that I think that the big picture is what counts here, and the big picture is him winning.
Yeah, he's going to win, and the cases help us win, but I yeah.
You know what the line that's when's it? When he says, you know, they're only going after me. If they can do it to me, they can do it to you. That whole line of question.
Yeah, it's true.
What's
But Steve, let me tell you, okay? When
I agree.
Well, it's easy for you to blow off the marriage, listen. Listen, they've got these two scummy women who are going to detail sex that never happened, and it's going to be on television. The whole world is going to see it, and that's not good for Melania or Barron or the president's family.
All the family stuff, I agree with it.
Yeah, and it's awful, and they should be ashamed of themselves. And I hope that they investigate this judge and the $10 million. All right, do you want to go to the phones? All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Patty from New Jersey. How are you?
Hey, Patty.
How are you?
Good. So, Brian, I wanted to let you know that, number one, I don't know if you know Joe from Good Logic. He's an attorney from New York that walked into Judge Merchant's office yesterday.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
And we gotta hope that he's supposed to have oral arguments at 3:00 today.
The judge is a crook. The judge is crooked.
He is, and look at it. They're doing to this judge what they did to Joe Biden. They went after his kid, gave her lots of money, and it absolutely 100% is paid.
And let me tell you, the very fact is the political consulting company is to the judge what Burisma and Hunter are to Joe. The fact that they paid the daughter the $10 million with this fake job, right? It shows you that the Biden people are involved in it. Criminals, they do crime the same way all the time. So they set the judge up to get paid the same way that the Ukrainians set Joe up to get paid. It's carbon copy. And the judge is so arrogant. The judge is so arrogant about this being busted, he keeps issuing gag orders against Trump not to talk about it.
Well, I mean, Joe really laid it out. I watched a lot of the attorneys online, and they're all saying that the document that he filed yesterday is brilliant. It's great. Nobody's got high hopes for it, but it's out there, and he's so willing to take a step.
What do you mean
by that? Just because we have a corrupt justice system.
Yeah, corrupt judge.
They're not. Right, they're not 100% sure that it's going to be successful.
Don't you think that all these cases in the end are going to be come up in front of the Supreme Court?
But Steve doesn't care about Melania and the marriage and the family as much. Steve, when you get these, yeah, go ahead, caller.
Let me tell you about that, Steve. Melania, or Brian and Steve, Melania is a strong woman, and this Stormy Daniels is a sleaze bucket. She's changed her story. She knows that the witnesses that these people have.
Yeah, but slow down. You're correct. However, the other woman, okay, who's also a liar, the other woman is classier. She's articulate. She's well spoken, and she doesn't look like a sleaze. She looks classy, right? And she's going to get up there with the same crap, and there's no wife that wants to hear that crap.
If Donald Trump were my husband, I wouldn't believe a word of it, and I'll guarantee you she won't even give them the time of day to watch.
I'm not saying she's going to believe it, but it doesn't mean that it's not a problem.
But Brian, look at all the stuff they've thrown at him, and she stood with him through it. It's just another attempt. So she's going to be fine. Yes, it's horrible. I feel bad for Barron. He's the one I really feel bad for, but because he's still a kid. I know he's 18, but he's still a kid. And for him, but you know what? That whole family is so strong. They all know what's going on. They all know the fight that they're in. They're going to be fine. And we just got to keep praying for Donald Trump. And
Oh, and I want to tell you guys, over the weekend, we were talking about Mike Johnson. Marjorie Taylor Greene says he's being blackmailed and everything. President Trump is doing an event with Mike Johnson this weekend at Mar-a-Lago. So, and I told you guys, I will never disagree with President Trump, and I will always follow his lead. So everything I said about Mike Johnson yesterday, I will put on hold. I mean, Trump's inviting him to an event that they're doing together tomorrow at Mar-a-Lago. So that means we have to lay off.
Might be trying to feel him out, and you never know. Everybody. How can somebody change that? How can somebody change it that quickly?
Mm-hmm.
He went in there.
In everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Like we were worried we weren't going to make it through the period, because of the length of time before he takes office. But he seems to be jumping right into the middle of.
How long does that rooster do his thing all day? Does he ever stop, or is it all day long?
No, it's all day. It's
Oh my goodness.
4:00 in the morning, and he goes until the sun goes down.
Oh my goodness. That would drive me nuts. All right, thanks for the call. You're on the air. She's got a rooster in the background. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, good morning. How you doing?
All right.
Just out of curiosity, Brian.
Here we go.
Trump cheated on his first wife. Did you feel for Eric and Don, or the other?
Now, I'm glad you asked. You want to keep at you asked the question. Yeah.
And then also too, don't you think it's hypocritical for you to say, "Oh, poor Melania and poor Barron," when Trump went ahead before the debate and put a couple of women who accused Bill of assault, and he put it on right before the debate?
Well,
being hypocritical by saying it's okay when Trump does it, but when somebody else does it,
what is this? The never-ending question? The never-ending question? Okay. First off, I'm going to answer your long-winded run-on question, okay? But you got to stop talking to listen. I'm going to go in reverse. First off, you're talking about that great press conference that President Trump had with Paula Jones, a friend of mine, Juanita Broderick, and other women who were sexually assaulted, even raped by Bill Clinton, plus the woman who was raped as a child, and Hillary defended the rapist. The difference between those women and these women that are coming up in this New York courtroom is they were telling the truth. These women against Trump are lying. Now, you're talking about when you got all excited when President Trump cheated on his first wife with Marla Maples. This is what I thought about it at the time. No. When you talk about sex, you get all excited, probably because there's so little of it in your real life, with other people at least. The thing about Marla Maples, okay, I always thought that she was a little beneath him. I always thought I just didn't think they were a good-looking couple. I just didn't like it. I remember she was hosting like the Miss Universe pageant or something. No, she cheated on him and he dumped her. She cheated on him and he dumped her.
Okay.
But no, I don't approve of that. And even President Trump has talked about it was bad for him to have done that.
In your regards to Marjorie Taylor's tweet the other day.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, when she mentioned that the solar eclipse and the earthquake happened in the same day and that it was sort of God's plan. Yeah.
She didn't say any of that.
Yeah. Oh, she tweeted that out. Yeah.
Finish your slander. No, I saw it live. Finish your slander, then I'll correct you.
And I'm just saying that she said that. And to be honest with you, where the earthquake hit in New Jersey, Trump's golf course was about a couple miles away where exactly the earthquake. So I don't know if that has anything to fit into the prophecy or anything like that. But
she made a joke. She said an eclipse and an earthquake. Yeah, it's called sarcasm.
And yeah, Jewish space lasers and everything.
She never said Jewish space lasers. She never said Jewish space lasers. In fact, when I interviewed her on this program, I even talked to her about it. She never said it. The leftist said that she said it.
Really, you know what she's hoping for? She's hoping that Donald.
And by the way, what is anti-Semitic about? Excuse me, what would be anti-Semitic about Jewish space lasers? Could you explain that to me? Are you saying that Jews aren't intelligent enough to make space-based laser weapons? What is that? I don't understand what that means. Like, why is that a negative?
That talk show host, Wick, just tipped in, flipping that script, baby. You're good at it, okay? Hey.
Well, no, you see, what you are is a parrot. You have no original thought. You're just repeating things. Polly want a cracker is going to be next out of your mouth. All right, appreciate the call. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane.
All right, now let's move on to something interesting. Not that guy. We're going to talk right now to William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated in Boca with our final gold and precious metals report of the week. William Youngerman, how are the metals looking this morning?
The metals are looking incredibly strong.
Oh, yeah.
When I gave that forecast that I thought gold could go to 2,600 this year, I didn't think it was going to happen this month. So, but it looks like it's heading very strong. Overnight, we saw gold trade in a range of $2,382 all the way up to $2,401.
Wow.
And right now, we're up $24.10 at $2,395.50 per ounce for gold. Silver blasting through $29 an ounce overnight, getting up to $29.26. Currently up 83 cents at $29.11 the ounce. Platinum up $22 at $1,004. And palladium up $34 at $1,064. So, I mean, these are exciting numbers. Certainly, all new record highs every day we're hitting, and it's not giving itself up. We're not seeing any major pullbacks at all. We see maybe a $20 pullback intraday, and then it turns around and goes right back up to new higher levels. And that's been the pattern for the last week or two. So, if you get a chance to buy on a little bit of a pullback, you certainly want to do that. If you've been sitting on precious metals and you've been waiting for this big run and you need some money, there's nothing wrong with taking a little profit too. So, something to consider if you've got a better place for the money though.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm wondering, right now, I mean, demand for gold and silver is so high. Is there any particular gold that you recommend today? Are the premiums doing good on some of those more sought-after things? What are you recommending people that just want some gold right now?
Yeah, really, just about everything is still on sale for the physical metals. So you can buy the eagles, the buffaloes, the bars, the kangaroos from Australia's Perth Mint are at excellent value. Beautiful coins, encapsulated and pure 9999 fine gold. So you can't get any better products than what we sell, and they're all on sale as far as the premiums are concerned.
Yeah, so that's great. I mean, that's amazing. So even with these great record that we're breaking all the time, you're still getting huge deals because of that. Listen, William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. You can stop in at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. Give them a call, 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010. and online, WilliamYoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk on Monday.
Okay, have a great day.
All right, we'll be right back.
Take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on.
All right, callers on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. We've covered quite a bit. It is open phones today on Fridays, and only Fridays. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. Well, there's an event. There's an event at Mar-a-Lago with Mike Johnson and President Trump. So I don't know the time, but it's over the weekend. You have to keep an eye out for it. But let me tell you, that's a big one, and it's a big one because there's been a lot of criticism led by the great Marjorie Taylor Greene on Mike Johnson, okay? And this extension of FISA and everything else. So that, to me, is important, and it says a lot. So Trump thinks he's okay. That means he's okay to me, and I'm going to lay off. If I'd have known about that yesterday, I probably wouldn't even talked about Mike Johnson yesterday. And you know what? Marjorie Taylor Greene will take Trump's lead, too. All right, the number 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Uncle Steve, Island Boy. How you doing? ID.
Good.
Hey.
Good, Ivy. What's up?
Good
What's
to hear
happening?
from you. Can you hear me okay? What's happening?
Yeah.
Remember what I tell you about when that boat hit the bridge? That vein of America was going to shoot gold through the roof because it's a big barometer dictating how strong the economy is. And then Mike Johnson passed that bill. I didn't want to see another bill passed for Ukraine to get one more bloody penny, okay? So these things are causing gold to go up, and that's why you need to have the insurance on your hard-earned dollars, because 401ks are becoming 201ks. When did America become great? Some of these guys used to call back in the past, and when was America ever great? Well, America was great since you didn't have to not be at the same counter with a white person, or when you had to drink from a different cooler than a white person, or had to go in a different bathroom than a white person. When you weren't getting lynched and being hung in a tree. That's when America should have been great to you. Okay. You black people, I'm black. You shouldn't be looking for reparations. You shouldn't have your hand out. You should be strong and stand on your feet. Now, who is behind the people that is behind the people that is behind the people? You were very curious, Brian, when he said, what was Barack doing in England? I keep telling you, everything goes back to the House of Windsor, the bloodline. Who controls, who starts all these wars? Who gives Congress the authority to print money? Who tells those people to print money? Okay?
So we're being run by the King of England, Charles?
They are a big part of the group of people that are pulling the strings, that are pulling the strings, that are pulling. In other words, no matter what bad people want to do to extract money from who makes the people in Congress do those things, implement the rules that they want.
Well, I will tell you this. If you look at so much of the terrible things this country has been involved in, it's come from the British. You know, the fake dossier was Russian intelligence. Weapons of mass destruction was British intelligence. The dossier, did I say Russia? The Russian dossier, or the fake Russia dossier was British intelligence. Yeah, from Christopher Steele. The Iraq war lie of WMDs was British intelligence, and of course the World Wars. So yeah, so their deep state is our deep state.
Here's the piece of puzzle that I've been trying to tell you ever since the Boston Tea Party, that the British they've always infiltrated us and never have left. There are different groups of people that work either together or not together to then do what they do to control us. We are at our breaking point, being overrun, being lied to our faces. The border is closed. Oh, the economy is great. There is no.
Yes.
Everything is fine. These things cannot be overlooked anymore. And of course, we have probably 70% of the blacks now coming over to our side. And yes, you have to feel the pain, like I say, until it touches you personally.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, IB, I appreciate the call. He talks very fast. It makes it hard to disconnect. I'm going to see if I can pull this up. I wanted to play this for you. Did you see Jean-Pierre asked about OJ yesterday? You didn't know? You would know it. I'm looking for, I know I have it, so I wanted to play it. It is bizarre. I hope I can find it by the end of the show, and I can't find it. She gave her condolences to OJ's family. I I was like in shock about this, and I know I have it here somewhere. Oh boy, now that I said it, I'm not able to find it. But I'll see if we got a few minutes left. Maybe I'll find it before the end of the show. She gave her condolences to OJ's family. Think about that. OJ's family yesterday. Who gives condolences to OJ's family? I mean, why would she even comment on that?
What did they do wrong?
It's not. Oh, the daughter helped cover up the murder. The daughter, OJ's oldest daughter, I told you, washed his murder clothes. So his daughter helped him cover up the murder. So no, I can't find the audio now. Oh well. And even if they did nothing, which is not true, why would Jean-Pierre give her condolences to OJ's family? I don't know. Mindless. That's definitely it. Now, I couldn't find that audio. I know I have it here somewhere, but I got a lot of stuff. I do have the audio. I wanted to play this. This is Oprah Winfrey's show. Oprah Winfrey had a live verdict watch on the OJ verdict, and she brought in a racially segregated audience, half black, half white, to get the reaction to the OJ verdict. And I'm going to play this for you. This is Oprah Winfrey's show. They're watching the OJ verdict live, the man being acquitted of killing two people that there's never been a court murder trial where there was as much evidence in favor of conviction than with OJ. All right, here it is.
Case number BA097211. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant Orenthal James Simpson not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of penal.
Hear those screams? Those are the black people in Oprah's audience.
Orenthal James Simpson not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of penal code section 187A, a felony upon Nicole Brown Simpson, a human being, as charged in count 1 of the information.
Disgusting.
Isn't it?
Superior Court of the State of California, County of Los Angeles, in the matter of the people of the State of California versus Orenthal James.
I would say.
Oh.
Embarrassment.
Yeah, and the white people are sitting down. But I'll tell you what I noted about that was Oprah is standing there in stunned silence. She's not celebrating Oprah. She was on the right side during that. But her audience jumping, and see, this is the thing that we mentioned this earlier, but I just want to end on this because everyone's going to be talking about this today in the news still. There was zero reasonable doubt. The people that were celebrating the verdict knew he did it, and they were celebrating that a black man got away with murder, and they would tell you at the time. And now, I want to play this clip. This is a black woman who was on the O.J. Simpson jury. Okay? She was on the O.J. Simpson jury. She's a black woman. Listen.
Do you think that there are members of the jury that voted to acquit O.J. because of Rodney King?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
How many of you think felt that way?
Oh, probably 90% of us.
90%? Did you feel that way?
Yes.
That was payback.
That was payback. There you got it. Now, isn't that something? It was payback. And she's proud of And so this is like years later, she thinks she did the right thing.
Now.
Oh. Now, I will tell you, if you have nothing to do over the weekend, there is a movie that you can find online, The People versus O.J. Simpson. It's a miniseries that was done about 7 or 8 years ago on FX. John Travolta plays Robert Shapiro. David Schwimmer from Friends plays Robert Kardashian. Cuba Gooding Jr. plays O.J., and there's a lot of other well-known people in this. It is spectacular. I watched this when it aired originally, like 7, 8 years ago, and it's called The People versus O.J. Simpson, and it is very good. It goes through the entire case from beginning to end and everything that happened. It's a miniseries, and it is good. And it's available everywhere. It's available on all the streaming services. It was on FX, so it may be on demand on FX. It may be on demand on everyone's cable. The People versus O.J. Simpson. It is the most accurate account. And John Travolta as Robert Shapiro is spectacular. Cuba Gooding Jr. as OJ. Very, very good. All right, that's all the time we have for today. We'll be back Monday morning at 6 a.m. I'm Brian Craig, Steve Kane, of course, here. It is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 47 years on the radio. We'll see you Monday morning at 6 a.m.
WSFS 104.3 HD3.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. And everyone who's sub, please like the video, all right? I'll see y'all later. Thanks for watching. Take care.